Qing Yuanda took the bowl of medicine Qing Si handed to him and immediately drank it. Qing Si glanced at the books on the table and her eyes dimmed. She said, "Father, your health is not good. Don't waste your energy reading these books." Qing Yuanda shook his head. "De Fong is pressing me step by step. Only by developing a puppet that can attack autonomously can I make your great-grandfather take back his orders." Qing Si smiled bitterly in her heart. Even if her father could develop a puppet that could attack on its own, it would be impossible for her great-grandfather to change his mind. This was because her great-grandfather had clearly been restrained by the second branch. However, Qing Si did not say what she was thinking. In fact, she knew that Qing Yuanda might know this, but he was just deceiving himself. Now that De Fong was silly, crippled, and the number of people dwindling, if he didn't have any more thoughts, Qing Yuanda might not be able to hold on anymore. Therefore, Qing Si nodded and said, "What father said makes sense. Then you should continue reading. Just don't be too tired." Qing Yuanda nodded. After Qing Si left, he slumped on the chair in a somewhat dejected manner. If it was possible, he would rather Qing Si never return to the Qing family. When he thought of what his daughter would face, Qing Yuanda's eyes could not help but be filled with anger. Even if he died, he would not let his daughter be manipulated by his second wife. Qing Yuanda put away the books that he had placed on the table and picked up another book. It was a formation book. After Qing Si came out of Qing Yuanda's study, she went straight to the backyard. A few women were washing clothes. Qing Si and Rin Dong quickly went over to help. "I think you should take a look at Panda's novel." Kam Qing Si's mother, Zheng Shi, quickly said, Nan, there's no need for you here. Go back to your room and rest." Qing Si smiled and said, "Mother, I'm not tired. Hurry up and finish washing these clothes so that you can rest earlier." Panda's novel. Kam, the other woman, said, "Second sister-in-law, what's the point of saying all this now? Let's hurry up and wash. If we can't finish it, Yuan Han and the others won't have any medicine left." The two people who spoke were Qing Si's second aunt, Li, and third aunt He. The Qing Yuan Han mentioned was the son of He. Second branch held the prescriptions of Qing Si's two uncles, 3 brothers and 2 cousins, forcing the women of the eldest branch to finish laundry every day. Although the prescriptions of the second branch could not cure them, it could slightly ease their pain. Li Shi said mysteriously, "I heard that someone from the Lan family came." "Sister-in-law, doesn't your family have some indirect relationship with the Lan family? Why don't you go and ask the ancestor of the Lan family? Maybe it can help us escape from the sea of bitterness." Zheng Shi said with a bitter smile, "Let's not talk about the fact that my family and the Lan family are unrelated relatives. Even if they are legitimate relatives, the Lan family might not offend the second branch because of this. After all, the Qing family will belong to the second branch in the future." Li Shi said unhappily, "Who cares if he can do it or not? Let's give it a try. Otherwise, Qing Si will." When she saw Zheng Shi's pale face, she hurriedly tugged at Li Shi's sleeve. Li Shi was embarrassed and stopped talking. Zheng Shi stood up abruptly and said to Qing Si, Nan, mother will go in and change her clothes. After that, we will go to the guest house to visit the Lan family's ancestor." Mrs. Li hurriedly said, "Sister-in-law, you did the right thing. Nothing is absolute. Perhaps the ancestor of the Lan family would be kind enough to speak a few good words in front of the family head and let us get out of this predicament." Although he felt that the hope was slim, she felt that it was good to give it a try. What if it really could be done? She did not have any other extravagant hopes. As long as she could keep her husband and son alive, she was willing to do anything. Zheng Shi quickly changed her clothes and brought Qing Si and Rin Dong out of the main room. The 3 of them quickly arrived at the entrance of the guest house, but were stopped by the guards. "First madam, third miss, please wait." Zheng Shi said calmly, "The ancestor of the Lan family is a relative of my mother's family. Why can't I go in and pay a visit? Quickly move aside." The guard was in a difficult position. Although the Lan family had lost its power, it was still the master. He did not know how to respond. At this moment, a small leader walked over and said with a fake smile, "First madam, the second elder will hold a banquet to entertain the Lan family's ancestor tonight. You can pay him a visit when the time comes. You are not in a hurry, right?" Zheng Shi naturally understood the meaning of the small leader. He did not want her to meet the Lan family's ancestor alone. He did not want her to say anything that would harm the second family. Zheng Shi wanted to force her way in, but how could the mother and daughter be a match for these people? In the end, not only would they not be able to enter, they might even be humiliated. As for the banquet, they didn't even have the right to attend. Qing Si didn't say anything because she felt that little Jiao should be coming back from the garden soon. Sure enough, she caught a glimpse of a few figures approaching from afar. They were Yun Chujio, Qing Jin and the others. Qing Jin and Yun Chujio chatted awkwardly for a while, but they could not find any useful information. Naturally, they did not have the patience to deal with Yun Chujio. I think you should take a look at Panda's novel. Yun Chujio saw Zheng Shi and Qing Si at the gate of the courtyard. Her eyes deepened, but she did not say anything. Qing Jin frowned and said, "Aunt, why are you here?" Zheng Shi said lightly, "My family and the Lan family have some relatives, so I want to go in and greet the Lan family's ancestor." Qing Jin, you came at the right time. Ask them to let us in. Qing Jin pursed her lips. Aunt, the ancestor of the Lan family is an important guest. You'd better not go in and disturb him. If you want to pay your respects, well, talk about it at the banquet. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and send Aunt and Third Miss back to the main room. Panda's novel. This girl looked very unfamiliar, so she should be from the Lan family. Therefore, Zheng Shi did not care about her face and said in a fawning manner, "Miss, you are from the Lan family, right? Can you please send a message to the old ancestor saying that the younger generation of the Zheng family wants to see you?" Yun Chujio showed a somewhat contemptuous look. Zheng family? Why haven't I heard of it? Didn't Sister Qing Jin say so? If you have the heart to see me, we can talk about it at the dinner party. Qing Jin's expression became even more smug when she heard Yun Chujio's words. The Lan family was not stupid, so how could they be close to them? Zheng Shi's face suddenly turned red. Although she had expected it when she came, she did not expect a junior of the Lan family to be so rude to her. At this moment, Qing Si stepped forward to support Zheng Shi and said, "Mother, let's go back." Zheng Shi gritted her teeth and shouted with all her strength, "Ancestor, Zheng Xionyang requests to see you." In fact, when Zheng Shi was talking to the guards, the Lan family's ancestor and elder Tua had heard it, but they were not prepared to pay attention to it in case the two houses were suspicious. However, now that he sure was shouting so loudly, it would not make sense for her to pretend that she did not hear it. The Lan family's ancestor gave elder Tua a look, and elder Tua went into the courtyard and said, "Come in." Lady, he immediately pushed aside the guards who were blocking her way and walked in with Qing Si and Rindong. Qing Jin stomped her feet angrily, but it was not good to stop them. She thought about it and decided to follow them in to take a look. At this moment she heard Yun Chujio say, "Sister Qing Jin, what kind of ointment is on your face? Why do I see that the scar seems to be a little deeper than before? Is it because of the sun?" When Qing Jin heard this, how could she still care about Zheng Shi? She glared fiercely at Yun Chujio and left hurriedly with her maid. She probably went back to look at herself in the mirror. Yun Chujio revealed a puzzled expression, shook her head and then entered the guest house. In the guest house's living room, Zheng Shi and Qing Si were already kneeling on the ground. As for Rindong, he was taking a walk in the courtyard. Zheng Shi said with tears streaming down her face, "Old ancestor, I know it's a bit rash to ask to see you, but I can only ask for your help." The Lan family's old ancestor's expression was very cold. "Get up and speak." Zheng Shi saw the Lan family's old ancestor's expression and her heart instantly turned cold. She smiled bitterly in her heart. That's right, if she was the Lan family's old ancestor she wouldn't have gotten involved in this mess. However, Zheng Shi still felt lucky and said, "Ancestor, to tell you the truth, the family head has already been suppressed by the second elder. He is basically their puppet. I think you should take a look at Panda's novel." The male members of our big branch have met with misfortune one after another. They are stupid and disabled. The second branch is pressing on step by step. In a few days, the second elder will officially take over the position of the family head of the Qing family. At that time, everyone in our main branch will most likely lose their lives. The expression of the Lan family's patriarch did not change. He asked, "What do you want me to do for you? After all, this is a family matter of your Qing family. It is not good for me to be involved in it." Zheng Shi heard this and she knelt on the ground again. "Patriarch, I do not expect you to save everyone in our main branch. As long as you can protect Nan Nan's life or send her to another continent, I am willing to give all the assets of the main branch to you in return." When Yun Chujio entered, she happened to hear what Zheng Shi said. She could not help but sigh. This Zheng Shi was really good to Qing Si. How could she have the preference for boys over girls that Qing Si had mentioned at that time? Qing's eyes were red. She bit her lips tightly, her heart filled with guilt. Before the Lan family's old ancestor could speak, Yun Chujio said with a smile, "Auntie, don't make things difficult for the old ancestor. Miss Qing Si is a member of the Qing family. Our Lan family doesn't have the time to meddle in your business." Zheng Shi's face turned even paler as she looked pleadingly at the Lan family's patriarch. However, to her disappointment, the expression of the Lan family's patriarch didn't change at all. What little ninth girl said makes sense. It's not appropriate for our Lan family to interfere in your Qing family's matters. Please leave. Zheng Shi smiled bitterly and stood up. As expected, it was easier to add flowers to the brocade than to send charcoal in the snow. This trip had been in vain. Pandas novel. Qing Jin saw Zheng Shi's dejected look and could not help but sneer in her heart. She knew that the Lan family would not bother with them at all. However, her father had lectured her and insisted that she come back to keep an eye on them. Chapter 5270 The Past of Qing C1 It turned out that Qing Jin had run into Qing Yuankui on the way and had been scolded. She had no choice but to turn back. Qing Jin said a few sarcastic words. Seeing that Zheng Shi was about to collapse, she felt very satisfied. She proudly turned around and left with the maid. Mother, let's go back. Qing Si said lightly, but her right hand was tightly holding a voice transmission talisman. Just now, when she and Yun Chujio passed each other, a voice transmission talisman was stuffed into her hand. Her heart warmed up. She knew that little Jiu would not sit idly by. The reason why she said those harsh words was to confuse the second wife. Qing Si accompanied Zheng Shi back to the main room. Li Shi and He Shi, who were looking forward to it, saw Zheng Shi's dejected look and knew that things did not work out. Naturally, they were very disappointed. Qing Si found an excuse to return to her room. Her hand trembled as she took out the voice transmission talisman. For a moment she did not know where to begin. Fortunately, the voice transmission talisman started to tremble. Miss Qing Si, I'm sorry. I'll apologize to Auntie in the future. Quickly tell me what exactly is going on. Qing Si's eyes could not help but heat up. She sorted out her thoughts and told her everything. Before Qing Si was born, the Qing family's eldest son was a male, so Qing Si was doted on by the eldest son. However, Qing Yuankui and Zheng Shijue said that the path of artifact refinement was too hard and was not suitable for girls, so they kept letting Qing Si learn artifact refinement. Not only that, they also said that girls did not need to train too hard and let her learn more zither, chess, calligraphy, and painting. In this way, Qing Si's cultivation level was naturally the lowest among her peers, and she often heard people laughing at her behind her back. In addition, Qing Luo and Qing Jin from the second branch would fan the flames by Qing Si's ears from time to time, saying that Qing Yuankui and Zheng Shi valued sons over daughters. Qing Si had some opinions about her parents, thinking that they valued her three older brothers and looked down on her. Qing Si was protected too well by Zheng Shi, so she did not understand the wickedness of people. Instead, she treated the two of them as good sisters. Qing Luo and Qing Jin took advantage of Qing Si's eagerness to learn how to refine weapons. They often brought her to the second branch's refining room to observe the refining process. Qing Si trusted the two of them even more. The three of them often went out to play and each time they would bring a handsome guard. Qing Si was simple-minded and did not care about this matter at all. When Qing Si was 14, it coincided with the clan's triennial competition. Therefore, the Zheng Shi and Qing Yuankui paid less attention to Qing Si. Therefore, when the guard sent a message to Qing Si saying that Qing Luo and Qing Jin had invited her to visit the mountains, she did not doubt it at all. However, she did not expect that it was not Qing Luo and Qing Jin who were waiting for her, but the fierce-looking guard. Third miss, you don't know, right? Now there are rumors that you and I are having an affair. Why don't we just do it? Qing Si was obviously frightened. Where are the eldest and second sisters? They will be here soon. Don't mess around. Third miss, you are really stupid. Do you think they don't know that I did this? If it wasn't for them, how could I have gotten close to you? Although the guard was a little afraid that the eldest house would not let him off, Qing Luo and Qing Jin told him that a woman's chastity was the most important. As long as he was cooked, he would at most be beaten up. De Fong still had to marry Qing Si to him in the end. Thinking that he could have both beauty and money, the guard could not care about anything else. He immediately used force. Chapter 5271 Qing Sis passed too. For a moment, Qing Si felt as if she had fallen into an ice cellar. She wanted to send a message to her parents, but the forest they were in was forbidden to use talisman seals. For a moment, there was no way out for her, so she could only resist desperately. Fortunately, she had many life-saving spiritual artifacts given to her by Qing Yuankui. Although there was a huge difference in strength, she still managed to stagger into the depths of the forest. She did not know what kind of formation she had accidentally fallen into, but when she opened her eyes again, she had already arrived at the Qing Xian continent. However, her cultivation base had been greatly damaged, and there was almost nothing left. If it were not for the few remaining spiritual tools and talismans on her, she might not have been able to see Yun Chujio in the future. After experiencing such a huge change, she had become unable to trust anyone. That was why when she first met Yun Chujio and the others, she had said that she had run away from home because her family valued sons over daughters. Of course, Qing Si was still a little unconvinced. She felt that her parents did not let her learn how to refine weapons and did not let her cultivate properly because they looked down on women. That was why when she first met Yun Chujio, who was also a woman, she chose to be close to Yun Chujio. Countless times she was glad that she had made the right choice. If it were not for the fact that she was close to Yun Chujio, not to mention her cultivation level, at least it would be difficult for her to walk out of the haze of being framed by Qing Luo and Qing Jin. Moreover, the Yun siblings had given her the same kind of friendship as family, allowing her to no longer be as fearful and uneasy as before. To be honest, she felt that she might not be able to return to the heavy cloud continent in her lifetime. After all, the Qing Xian continent's level was too low. However, she didn't expect that because she got to know Yun Chujio, she had obtained countless cultivation resources and fortuitous encounters. Hence, she was able to quickly ascend to the immortal origin continent. Just when she was full of confidence and thought that she might be able to return to the great firmament continent in a few years, the Qing family's second branch found her. They used Qing Yuankui and Zheng Shi's lives to threaten her, so Qing Si could only submit. After Qing Si returned to the Qing family, she saw the tragic state of the eldest branch and couldn't help but blame everything on her youth and ignorance, thinking that she had harmed everyone. In fact, this matter had nothing to do with Qing Si. Even if she did not go missing, she would not be able to turn the tide. However, Qing Si was a little obsessed and felt that it was all her fault. After listening to Qing Si's simple story, Yun Chujio comforted her, in life, who has not been a fool a few times? So let the past be the past. Qing Si, Miss Qing Si, puzzled. How did the second branch find you? And why did they insist on bringing you back? What are their intentions? I don't know how they found me, but I know the reason why they brought me back. Because of my special constitution, they wanted to give me to Xianji of the Bitter Zen sect as a furnace and a cauldron, Qing Si said with a sneer. Yun Chujio almost threw the voice transmission talisman on the ground. What was that? Xianji? A furnace and a cauldron? Wasn't Xianji a monk? I only found out the truth after I came back. Back then, my parents didn't let me learn how to refine artifacts and didn't let me cultivate diligently because I had the body of a mystical lady. If my cultivation reached a certain level, people would easily see through my constitution. Body of a mystical lady? Yun Chujio had read relevant records in some ancient books. It was said that if a man who had sex with the body of a mystical lady cultivated some secret technique, his strength would greatly increase. Miss Qing Si, don't be afraid. As long as we work together, we will definitely be able to break the current predicament, Yun Chujio said resolutely. After listening to Qing Si's words, Yun Chujio had basically deduced the truth of the matter. The second branch of the Qing family probably unintentionally found out about Qing Si's special constitution, so they used this as a condition to get Xianji's help. Of course, Qing Si was only one of the chips. The second branch of the Qing family probably also offered a lot of spiritual weapons, such as the torrential rain Yama needle in Yuan Guang and Yuan Jia's hands. As for what happened to Qing Si's uncle and brother, it was naturally related to the Bitter Zen sect. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking, Qing Si sent a voice transmission talisman again. Little Jiu, I believe you. What should we do next? Qing Si recalled that when she applied for the Linghua sect a few years ago, no one thought highly of their Qing Yin group, but they still managed to get into the Linghua sect in the end. In this world, there was nothing that little Jiu could not do. It was Qing Si's good fortune to be able to meet little Jiu. There's no rush, he'll think about it again. Alright, how are my grandfather, brothers and sisters? Yun Chujio asked somewhat nervously. Her homesickness became even more timid. Although she knew that regardless of whether it was the Qing Shen continent, the Tian Yuan continent, or the immortal Yuan continent, all of her forces existed, and her relatives should be safe and sound, she was still a little worried. After all, the Divine Devil Hall would not give up on their evil intentions. They might even take action in secret. Qing Si said in a teasing tone, "Don't worry. Your gigolo arranged things very well. Not only did he send people to protect us, but he also gave us a lot of cultivation resources. However, Grandpa Yun is old and has limited talent, so he can only stay in the Tian Yuan continent. Sister Chu Wu and the others have already ascended to the immortal Yuan continent and entered the Han Yuan sect and the murderous Yuan sect respectively. With the title of Little Ancestor Yun, everyone is living very well. When the Qing family found me, if I didn't take the initiative to leave with them, they wouldn't have been able to take me away by force. Yun Chujio was both happy and confused. The pretty boy had arranged this? Why didn't she know? This Tsundere always did some things silently without telling her. I think you should take a look at Panda's novel. Yun Chujio's heart welled up with a trace of sweetness. When she thought about how Yun Xiaotian and the others were doing very well, she couldn't help but feel happy. She felt that Qinggu really didn't come for nothing this time. Yun Chujio chatted with Qing Si for a while more before putting away the voice transmission talisman and thinking about her next plan. The matter was a bit tricky. She had to make a good plan. Otherwise, Qinggu would be easy to defend and hard to attack. The Zen sect might not be able to attack in time. It would be best if she could outsmart them and not waste a single soldier. This guy decided to think of a plan after the dinner. After all, the second branch of the Qing family couldn't figure out the old fox's arrangements at the moment, so they wouldn't act rashly. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio took out Di Biming's voice transmission talisman. She wanted to ask Qing Si about the matter, but she was disappointed to find that the voice transmission talisman was still unable to be sent successfully. Obviously, Di Biming's location did not allow it. This fellow could not help but feel a little disappointed. She took out her speech book and looked at it. There was no other way. Her spiritual power had already reached its saturation state. It was useless to cultivate any further unless she was struck by lightning. Gowei Batsao, who was in his boots, let out a sigh of relief. It was a close call. It was a close call. Fortunately, the evil star's voice transmission talisman could not be used. Otherwise it would be exposed. Panda's novel. Come night, hurry up and come. It could not wait any longer. Gowei Batsao was going to stir up the entire Green Valley. Soon it was time for the banquet. The ancestor of the Lan family brought old Tua and Yun Chujio to the venue of the banquet. Qing Shaoqing came up to them and said, "Senior Lan, please take a seat." The ancestor of the Lan family naturally would not turn the tables. After exchanging a few pleasantries, he still sat on the guest seat. Qing Shaoqing asked the juniors to greet the ancestor of the Lan family one by one. Yun Chujio realized that the big house was not attended by anyone. However, it was also true that the family scandal could not be exposed. Qing Shaoqing naturally would not make things uncomfortable for himself. The ancestor of the Lan family also tactfully did not ask, as if he did not know that the Qing family had a large house. However, he did not expect that Qing Yuanda would bring the Jing Shi and Qing Si in before the banquet had officially started. Qing Shaoqing's expression immediately turned gloomy. However, he could not chase the three out in front of outsiders, so he could only pretend to be concerned and said, "Panda's novel." Qing Yuanda said lightly, "Thank you for your concern, second uncle. I'm already better. With an important guest coming, it's not good for our eldest house to avoid meeting him." Qing Shaoqing was annoyed, but he could not say anything. Qing Yuanda walked to the front of the Lan family's ancestor and bowed. He only greeted him politely and did not say anything else. Qing Shaoqing was slightly relieved. Although he was sure that the Lan family would not get involved in the affairs of the Lan family, he had other plans, so it was better to not cause any trouble. After the three of them took their seats, the banquet officially began. After a while, Qing Yuanda raised his wine glass to toast the ancestor of the Lan family. His pale face became a little ruddy. His hand trembled slightly as he said, "Senior Lan, I heard that the younger generation of the Lan family has many talents, and most of them are not married yet. I intend to marry the Lan family. What do you think, Senior? I think you should take a look at Panda's novel." Clang. The wine glass in Qing Yuanqi's hand accidentally fell to the ground. Although it did not shatter, the sound it made Qing Shaoqing frown. Qing Shaoqing was furious and quickly scolded, "Yuanda, aren't you being a little too abrupt? How can a child's marriage be child's play?" Qing Yuanda said with a slight coldness, "My parents have passed away, and my grandfather has been in seclusion all year round. What's wrong with me as a father, arranging a marriage for my daughter?" Yun Chujio sighed in her heart. Qing Yuanda and Jing Shi were really good to Qing Si. Whether it was the deliberate cover-up when she was young or the desperation at this moment, they were all for her safety. She thought of her parents who were locked up in the Zen sect and felt a little bitter. She did not complain, but she felt that her life was too bitter. She did not enjoy the love of her parents in both her past and present lives. Therefore, she turned her bitterness into motivation and began to eat and drink. The ancestor of the Lan family said with a smile, "The daughters of the Qing family are precious. Of course the Lan family would love to have them. However, we cannot rush this matter. We will talk about it in detail when we have time. Qing Shicheng's eyes flashed when he heard that. He couldn't figure out the true thoughts of the ancestor of the Lan family for a moment. He said with a smile, Senior Lan is right. Marriage is the best way to marry two families. Naturally, we have to be cautious. His words were obviously a pun, implying that the ancestor of the Lan family would be the second son of the Qing family in the future. There was no benefit in marrying the eldest son. Qing Yuanda sat back in his seat with some disappointment. If the ancestor of the Lan family could agree to the marriage, at least Qing Si would be able to avoid the disaster. However, judging from his appearance, it was probably just a perfunctory response. However, for the sake of his daughter, he could not give up no matter what. From the looks of it, this was the safest way. Qing Si's face remained expressionless. She looked at He Xinjiu, who was fighting with the chicken drumstick, and silently thought to herself, bear with it. Little Jiu will think of a way soon. Everything will be fine. At this moment there was a commotion outside. A guard hurriedly ran in, ignoring the presence of guests, and said, Second elder, something has happened. Qing Shicheng's face immediately darkened, and he said unhappily, Can't you see that there's a distinguished guest present? What's the point of panicking? The guard's legs went soft from the shock of Qing Shicheng's gloomy face, and he directly knelt on the ground, saying in a cowardly manner, Second elder, please forgive me. This matter is urgent and I've been rude. Only then did Qing Shicheng's expression ease up a little, and he asked, What exactly happened? Now that the entire Qing family was under his control, what else could happen? Thinking of this, Qing Shaoqing picked up the teacup and pretended to be calm. Second elder, I don't know why the sky-shaking crossbow was activated by itself and destroyed more than half of the spiritual artifacts in the warehouse. Before the guard could finish his words, the teacup in Qing Shicheng's hand fell to the ground with a clang. He suddenly stood up and stared at the guard. What did you say? The guard was frightened by Qing Shicheng's malicious eyes, but he still repeated, I don't know why the sky-shaking crossbow was activated by itself and destroyed more than half of the spiritual weapons in the warehouse. Qing Shaoqing only felt a buzzing sound in his head. The sky-shaking crossbow was the most powerful treasure of the Qing family. Since the sky-shaking crossbow had already given birth to a Qi Ling, there was no way to forcefully recognize it as its owner. Therefore it had been placed in the warehouse. The Qing family's warehouse was strictly guarded. There were 5 checkpoints, so they were not afraid of being stolen. However, why did the sky-shaking crossbow suddenly go crazy? And it even destroyed all the spiritual weapons in the warehouse? At this moment, Qing Shaoqing was not in the mood to pretend to be polite with the ancestor of the Lan family. After hurriedly apologizing, he rushed to the warehouse. He Xinjiu's eyes flashed. She did not have the self-awareness of being a guest and followed behind. The ancestor of the Lan family and Elder Tu all looked at each other and shamelessly followed. I think you should take a look at Panda's novel. The Qing family was in a mess. Qing Shaoqing and the others were even more confused. No one paid attention to them, so the 3 of them swaggered behind to watch the show. Qing Yuanda began to cough violently. Although the family business had been swallowed by the second branch, it was still the legacy left behind by their ancestors. When he heard that more than half of the spiritual artifacts had been destroyed, how could he not be anxious? Zheng Shi patted his back gently and comforted him, perhaps the matter isn't that serious. Husband, don't worry. Qing Si thought to herself, could it be that little Jiu did this? This way of doing things was too much in line with little Jiu. However, she didn't know how little Jiu did it. Thinking of this, she said to Qing Yuanda, Father, if you are worried, let's go and take a look. Panda's novel. Thus, Qing Yuanda immediately brought Zheng Shi and Qing Si to the warehouse. At this moment, Qing Shaoqing and the others had already arrived at the storeroom. When everyone saw the messy storeroom, they could not believe their eyes. Although the spirit weapon was powerful, it had to be activated in order to unleash its full strength. If it was not activated, its sturdiness would not be very good. In addition, the heaven-shocking crossbow was the Qing family's most treasured home. It was an offensive immortal weapon, so the scene could be described as a mess. What made them the most confused was that the heaven-shocking crossbow was still in its attacking state. It seemed like it would go crazy again at any time. Qing Shaoqing saw the state of the heaven-shocking crossbow and was so scared that he took 2 steps back. Although he was confident that he could dodge the attack of the heaven-shocking crossbow, it was still a little difficult for him to be unharmed. Panda's novel. Qing Shaoqing really did not understand how this heaven-shocking crossbow had gone mad. That's right, he felt that there was something wrong with the weapon spirit of the heaven-shocking crossbow. Otherwise, it would not have destroyed many spirit weapons for no reason, and it would not have shown the attitude of attacking the members of the Qing family at this moment. There was only one way to deal with the crazy weapon spirit, and that was to throw the heaven-shocking crossbow into the refining furnace and refine it again. However, in this way the quality of the heaven-shocking crossbow would definitely be greatly reduced, and it might even be completely destroyed. How could it suddenly go mad? The reason why the heaven-shaking crossbow went mad was naturally because Go Weiba had done it. Before He Xingjiu went to the banquet, Go Weiba had already sneakily hid in a corner of the house. After Yun Chujiu left, this fellow shook its leaves. The sky had turned dark, and the happy time that belonged to its Go Weibatsao had arrived. Biming, that fiend, would soon expose it, so it had to do as it pleased and make as much trouble as it wanted, so that it would not let down this good time. Anyway, the smelly girl wanted to deal with the Qing family, so no matter how ridiculous it acted, the little girl would not be angry. Moreover, it was useless to be angry because she did not know that it was Go Weiba who did it. Therefore, Go Weibatsao used the cover of the night to run around the Qing family. His body was too small and it was very agile. Therefore, even though the Qing family was heavily guarded, this fellow quickly went to many places. This fellow even dared to stay near the banquet hall for a while. The grass leaf placed its hands on its waist and laughed proudly in its heart. "Stinky girl. The baby is right here. If you have the ability, come and beat the baby." This fellow entertained itself for a while and felt a little bored, so it continued to hop around. It soon discovered the heavily guarded warehouse, but this so-called heavily guarded warehouse was of no use to it. The Qing family's warehouse was not set up with a formation, so Go Weibatsao smoothly slipped through the crack in the door. Go Weibatsao jumped on the spirit tool and soon saw a giant crossbow. I think you should take a look at Panda's novel. Go Weibatsao had recently started to learn to read in secret in order to get rid of the title of illiteracy. As for the effect, so far it had recognized more than 10 words. This guy did not know the word Jing and did not know the word crossbow. He only recognized the word Tian. He immediately shook the leaves of the grass. This stupid thing dared to call it Tian. It was really shameless. Even its dog tail did not dare to call it Go Weiba. This stupid thing actually dared to call it that. It really did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. It really overestimated itself. In its anger, Go Weibatsao grew taller. With its hands on its waist, it pointed the leaves of the grass at the heaven-shocking crossbow and cursed. The weapon spirit of the heaven-shocking crossbow had been in a dormant state. Coincidentally, it woke up at this time. Although it did not know what Go Weibatsao was saying, it looked like Go Weibatsao was scolding it. As the most precious treasure of the Qing family, although the heaven-shocking crossbow did not recognize its master, even the second elder did not dare to speak ill of it. This damn thing actually dared to scold it? The heaven-shocking crossbow was immediately enraged. Hence, it smashed towards Go Weibatsao. Go Weibatsao nimbly dodged the heaven-shocking crossbow, and its little bad temper immediately flared up. It was Go Weiba fortune that it was willing to scold it. It actually dared to beat it? It was really rebellious. Hence, Go Weibatsao used the grass leaves to whip the sky-shocking crossbow, wanting to send the sky-shocking crossbow flying. The sky-shocking crossbow never expected that this damn thing would actually dare to whip it. It was momentarily careless and was sent flying by Go Weibatsao, slamming into the wall. The sky-shocking crossbow was also angry. It immediately shot an arrow at Go Weibatsao. Chapter 5276. The aggrieved heaven-shocking crossbow. Go Weibatsao saw that the heaven-shocking crossbow was shooting at it, so he immediately shrunk his body again and deftly avoided the arrow. After he dodged the arrow, he proudly hooked the grass leaves towards the heaven-shocking crossbow. He was as arrogant as he could be. The heaven-shocking crossbow had never been provoked like this before, so it immediately shot another arrow. Go Weibatsao once again perfectly dodged the arrow. It proudly twisted its body, almost making the heaven-shocking crossbow explode in anger. The heaven-shocking crossbow did not care about anything else. One arrow after another was shot out. It did not hit Go Weibatsao, but it accidentally injured many other spirit weapons. The heaven-shocking crossbow was bent on killing Go Weibatsao. How could it care about this? The guards outside did not have the key to the storeroom. By the time their leader arrived and opened the door to the storeroom, it was already a mess inside. Go Weibatsao took the opportunity to sneak out of the storeroom. The heaven-shocking crossbow followed behind angrily, scaring the guards into hurriedly closing the storeroom's door. The heaven-shocking crossbow was about to explode in anger. Were they blind? Didn't they see that damn thing sneak out? Therefore, when Qing Shaoqing ordered people to open the storeroom, the crossbow was ready to attack because it saw a faint purple light flash in the distance. That damn thing must be hiding there. However, when the crossbow saw Qing Shaoqing and the others, it slightly recovered from its anger and did not forcefully rush out of the storeroom. Qing Shaoqing saw that although the sky-shocking crossbow was in an attacking state, it did not have any intention of attacking him. Only then did he feel slightly relieved. He said angrily, "Sky-shocking crossbow, what are you doing?" The sky-shocking crossbow was originally very angry. Now that it saw that Qing Shaoqing actually questioned it, it immediately fired an arrow at Qing Shaoqing. Although Qing Shaoqing dodged the arrow, he was also half-dead angry. He said angrily, "Sky-shaking crossbow, if you don't restrain yourself, I can only throw you into the crafting furnace and reforge you." The sky-shaking crossbow could not help but tremble. This was what the tool spirit feared the most. Once it was reforged, the tool spirit would also die. It was angry and aggrieved in its heart. It was clearly not to blame for the matter, so why should it be scolded? The crossbow wished it could use its crossbow to turn Qing Shaoqing, who had wronged it, into a hedgehog, but it did not dare to do so. At that moment, Qing Si felt the voice transmission talisman in her storage ring vibrate. She used her sleeve to hide the sound of Yun Chujia's voice coming from inside. "Miss Qing Si, this is a good opportunity to subdue the crossbow. You can pacify it with a few words and say that you can help it take revenge. It will definitely acknowledge you as its master." Qing Si's heart skipped a beat. She quietly glanced at Yun Chujio, who was standing not far away, and walked to the front of the crowd. "Heaven-shocking crossbow, I know that you have been wronged. As long as you recognize me as your master, I will help you take revenge." Qing Si's voice was not loud, but her tone was very determined. The heaven-shocking crossbow was so touched that it was about to cry. Finally, there was someone who understood it. Just acknowledge it as its master? It did not want to be controlled by others. It felt that freedom was more important than anything, even though it was just a crossbow. At this time, Qing Jin screamed sharply, "Qing Si, are you crazy? You actually want the sky-shaking crossbow to acknowledge you as its master? You really overestimate yourself." Qing Shaoqing also said unhappily, "Qing Si, why aren't you stepping down? Don't cause trouble." Qing Si said lightly, "Second elder, as long as you are a member of the Qing family, you have the right to fight for the sky-shaking crossbow to recognize you as its master. How can I be considered as causing trouble?" Qing Shaoqing was choked by Qing Si's rebuke. Indeed, as long as it was a direct descendant of the Qing family, they all had the right to make the sky-shaking crossbow recognize its master. He was about to flare up when he caught a glimpse of the three ancestors of the Lan family standing not far away. He could not help but frown. Why did they follow him? He could not help but blame his subordinates in his heart for not stopping the members of the Lan family. In fact, this was not the fault of his subordinates. The three ancestors of the Lan family had followed Qing Shaoqing closely. They thought that Qing Shaoqing had acquiesced, so they did not stop him. Qing Shaoqing suppressed the anger in his heart and said coldly, "Now that you have tried it, and the Sky Cataclysm crossbow has no intention of acknowledging you as its master, you can leave now." Qing Si bit her lips and felt a little unwilling, but the heaven-shocking crossbow clearly had no intention of acknowledging her as its master. Could it be that she could only give up? At this time, the voice transmission talisman in her sleeve trembled again. She sent her spiritual sense into it, and after hearing what Yun Chujio said, her expression froze slightly. Then she said to the heaven-shocking crossbow, "The heaven-shocking crossbow, I always thought that you were the most special, but I didn't expect that you didn't even have the courage to acknowledge me as your master. Forget it, I misjudged you." The sky-shocking crossbow was already extremely angry. Now that it was provoked by Qing Si's words, it immediately became even angrier. Just as it was about to fire the crossbow at Qing Si, it heard Qing Si say, "Si, I'm just feeling sorry for you. As a divine weapon you've been staying in the warehouse all this time. Isn't it too sullen? Moreover, from the looks of it, you've suffered a lot. Don't you want to take revenge? Moreover, my cultivation is so low. I might die one day. When that time comes, you'll be free." After Qing Si finished speaking, she stared at the heaven-shocking crossbow nervously. These words were naturally taught to her by Yun Chujio. She could not think of these words by herself. However, could this work? The sky-shaking crossbow was somewhat persuaded. Yes, it was in the warehouse and didn't have much freedom. It might as well acknowledge this little girl as its master. Looking at her weak appearance, it wouldn't be able to do anything. Thus, the sky-shaking crossbow suddenly shrunk and flew into Qing Si's hand. I think you should take a look at Qing Yasai recalled Yun Chujia's instructions and immediately bit her index finger, dripping blood onto the sky-shaking crossbow to prevent any more trouble. Thus, under everyone's stunned gazes, Qing Yasai contracted the sky-shocking crossbow. Qing Shaoqing was so angry that he was about to vomit blood. What? The sky-shocking crossbow actually acknowledged Qing Yasai as its master. Qing Yasai was going to be given to Xianji as a furnace and cauldron. In the future she would definitely not be able to escape the fate of death. When that time came, wouldn't the sky-shocking crossbow benefit Xianji? However, now that she had already contracted the sky-shocking crossbow, even if he was furious to death, there was nothing he could do. If he had known that the heaven-shocking crossbow was so easy to deceive, he would not have waited until now. It was really too late to regret. Qing Jin's face was filled with jealousy. She wished that she could snatch the heaven-shocking crossbow. She should not have listened to her elder sister in the first place. She should have just killed this bitch right away. Qing Yuanda and Zheng Shi were both surprised and happy. No matter what, with the heaven-shocking crossbow, their daughter would have an additional means of self-protection in the future. This heaven-shocking crossbow was much more powerful than the King of Hell's needles. At this moment, the Gowei Batsao hidden in the distance was instantly thrown into chaos in the wind. Was over. It was completely over. That heaven-shocking crossbow had acknowledged Qing Yasai as its master, and Qing Yasai was the smelly girl's friend. Wouldn't it be exposed? Gowei Batsao was so regretful that it wanted to bang its head against the wall. If it had known this would happen, it would not have provoked that idiot, the heaven-shocking crossbow. But now, it had raised a stone to hit its own foot. It was simply too stupid. Gowei Batsao thought to itself, no matter what, it should run first. Perhaps that idiot, the heaven-shocking crossbow, would not tell Qing Yasai the truth because it cared about its face. So, Gowei Batsao sneaked into an ant hole. After leaving the courtyard, she ran back to Yun Chujia's courtyard. After the contract between Sky-Shocking Crossbow and Qing Yasai was completed, Sky-Shocking Crossbow was stunned to find that Gowei Batsao was gone. Qing Yasai was very happy at this time. She asked, "Why did you attack the other spiritual weapons just now? Where is your enemy? It'll help you take revenge." The heaven-shocking crossbow wanted to tell the truth, but after thinking about it, it felt a bit embarrassing to say it out loud, so it snorted coldly and said, "I'll settle my own matters, don't bother yourself. You'd better mind your own business, little weakling." Qing Yasai, however, she wasn't angry. As time went by, people's hearts would be revealed. In the future she would slowly subdue the heaven-shocking crossbow. She thought to herself, let's see. She knew that there was nothing that little Gio could not solve. Little Gio only needed to tell her a few words to subdue the heaven-shocking crossbow. She would definitely be able to help her deal with the Qing family's second branch. However, she did not know what method she used to anger the heaven-shocking crossbow. Little Gio was really powerful. Qing Shaoqing's depression could be imagined. Not only did he lose a lot of spiritual weapons, but he also lost the heaven-shocking crossbow. He was simply extremely unlucky. How could this perfectly fine heaven-shocking crossbow go crazy? He could not help but look at the Lan family's ancestors suspiciously. However, he denied his own suspicions. The Lan family's guards had been arranged elsewhere by him, and the 3 members of the Lan family were all under his nose. There was no chance for them to make a move at all. I think you should take a look at right now. His heart was in a mess, and he did not have the mood to feign civility with the Lan family's ancestor. He said perfunctorily, "Senior Lan, I've made a fool of myself. I still have to clean up this mess. We'll have a banquet to talk about it another day." The ancestor of the Lan family said with a faint smile, "You're too kind. Since that's the case, I'll return to the guest house first." After the ancestor of the Lan family finished speaking, he left with Elder Tua and Yun Chujio. When Qing Yasai saw that they had left, she tugged at Zheng Shi's sleeve. Immediately the 3 of them left as well. What a joke. If they stayed here, were they going to wait to be cleaned up? Qing Shaoqing looked at the backs of the 3 of them with a gloomy face. If Qing Yasai was not useful to him, why would he spare the lives of the people from the main branch? However, as long as Xianji took her away, the people from the main branch would die. Qing Shaoqing shook his head. They don't know how to split themselves, so they didn't have the chance to make a move. Moreover, this storehouse is heavily guarded. If they did it, it's impossible not to alert the guards. Then what's going on? The sky-shaking crossbow can't be crazy, right? That girl Qing Yasai is really lucky. Qing Yuan Kuei said with a hint of jealousy. Qing Shaoqing gritted his teeth. First, tidy up the warehouse. Then, send people to search the surroundings carefully to see if there's anything. Father, then should we make a move against the Lan family's patriarch and the others now? Qing Yuankui asked. Qing Shaoqing pondered for a moment. This is a very important matter. Let's try again. If the risk is too great, we don't need to take the risk for the sake of the bitter Zen sect. Yes, father. Gowei Batsao trembled as it hid in a corner of Yun Chujia's bedroom. It felt that a great disaster was about to befall it. However, it discovered that there was nothing unusual after Yun Chujio returned. Could it be that the heaven-shocking crossbow did not report it? However, it thought about it again. This wretched girl had many tricks up her sleeves. Perhaps she did it on purpose. Could not be fooled. Therefore, Gowei Batsao was afraid for the whole night, but it did not get Yun Chujia's anger. It finally put its heart back into its stomach. Guessed that it was right. The heaven-shocking crossbow loved to save face, so it did not say it out loud. It had to be said that that idiot finally did a good thing. After knowing that it would not be exposed, it began to feel a little smug. Not only did he destroy many of the Qing family's spiritual artifacts, but he also allowed Qing Si to obtain the heaven-shocking crossbow. Go Weiba had made another great contribution. Unfortunately, he could only be a nameless hero and silently contribute. He was really too great. Yun Chujio was completely unaware of Gowei Bakao's inner drama. After she woke up, she did not wake up. Instead, she pondered over her next step. If she didn't want to fight head-on, she had to find the Qing family's second son's weakness and hit him with one strike. However, what was the Qing family's second son's weakness? Yun Chujia's eyes suddenly lit up. The master of the Qing family, Qing Haoyan, was still alive. It was very likely that he was under house arrest or controlled by Qing Shaoqing. If she could save him, the Emperor of the Narrow Sky would order the vassals, and then she could take the initiative. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio immediately contacted Qing Si with a voice transmission talisman and obtained some useful information, such as Qing Haoshan's appearance, residence, and so on. In the corner, Gowei Batsao was suddenly energized. Oh my, it was time for Gowei Batsao to make a contribution again. This guy's idea was very simple. He felt that the more contributions he made, the lighter the punishment he would receive in the future. This was called atonement for his sins. Therefore, Gowei Batsao did not care that it was still daytime. While Yun Chujio was thinking of a solution, it slipped out through the crack of the door. I think you should take a look at Gowei Batsao was very smart. It made full use of the bushes, ant holes and other cover, and was not discovered by anyone. Gowei Batsao was so proud that it was almost floating. How could it be so outstanding? How could it be so outstanding? It was so powerful that it was not human. Well, it was not human in the first place. It was a unique grass. When it saw a cluster of mushrooms when it crawled through the grass, it immediately shook its leaves. It was neither as cute as Xiaomogu nor as pretty as Xiaomogu. Where did it get the courage to embarrass itself here? So, it directly tore the cluster of mushrooms into pieces. This guy played as he walked and finally arrived at Qing Haoshan's courtyard. There were many guards outside Qing Haoshan's courtyard, which could be said to be heavily guarded. Pandas novel. The courtyard was very large with rockery and flowing water. The scenery was very good. However, Gowei Batsao was not interested in it. Just as he was about to jump from room to room, he heard footsteps from outside. Gowei Batsao hurriedly hid in the grass and sneakily looked outside. The person who came was Qing Shaoqing. He directly entered a room. Gowei Batsao thought about it and did not dare to take the risk to enter. Instead, he leaned against the window to eavesdrop. "Father, your son has come to pay his respects to you," Qing Shaoqing said with some ridicule. Immediately after, an old voice said, "Get lost. I don't have a son like you, you beast." Gowei Batsao thought that the old man who spoke was probably the current master of the Qing family, Qing Haoyan. Qing Shaoqing said with a fake smile, "Father, your blood flows in my body, so even if you don't admit it, I'm still your son. Don't worry, as long as you hand over the position of master to me in 2 days, it'll be filial to you in the future. Of course, it doesn't matter even if you don't announce it. After all, once you die, the position of family head will still be mine." You beast." Qing Haoyan was obviously very angry and his voice was trembling. Qing Shaoqing changed the topic. "Father, I came to tell you that the sky-shaking crossbow has acknowledged its master." "What? The sky-shaking crossbow has acknowledged its master? Who has it acknowledged?" Qing Haoyan was obviously very surprised. He did not care about anything else and asked directly. Qing Shaoqing sneered twice. The heaven-shocking crossbow actually recognized Qing Si as its master. It seems that the weapon spirit of the heaven-shocking crossbow is also an idiot. It actually chose the weakest trash. Cough cough. Cough cough. Good, this is the will of heaven. You racked your brains to get the heaven-shocking crossbow, but it was taken by that girl Qing Si. Good, this is really wonderful. Qing Shaoqing was so angry that his face turned ashen. He snorted coldly and said, so what if she got it? In the end, she still has to obediently become a furnace, a cauldron. You beast. You're not human. How could I raise such an ingrate like you? You'll die a horrible death. Qing Haoyin scolded loudly. Father, you'd better save your strength. I didn't come here to listen to you scold me. Although the heaven-shocking crossbow is not ordinary, it's far from being comparable to that thing at the back of the mountain. If you tell me the secret of the back of the mountain, I won't kill those people from the main branch. Otherwise, none of the people from the main branch will be able to live. Those are your grandchildren. You won't leave them alive, right? Qing Shaoqing said coldly. The back of the mountain? There is nothing at the back of the mountain except for the mountain forest. Don't waste your strength. Qing Haoyin said with a sneer. I think you should take a look at nothing? If there's nothing, why did that girl, Qing Si, go missing all those years ago? And why did she appear on another continent? Is there a teleportation array or some kind of spiritual weapon there? Qing Shaoqing asked. If you have doubts, you can send people to search for her. Evil creature, good and evil will be reaped in the end. You imprisoned your father and murdered your relatives. You will die a horrible death. Good, very good. Since you refuse to accept my offer, I will deal with you after I take over as the family head. At that time, I will kill all the people in the house one by one in front of you. Let's see if you will still be stubborn. Qing Haoyin was so angry that he coughed and cursed. The faint sound of chains could be heard. Gowei Batsao thought to himself, could it be that the old man was chained? At this moment, Qing Shaoqing said again, oh right, the master of the Lan family is a guest in the mansion. Yuanda, that idiot, still wants to become in-laws with the Lan family. What a whimsical idea. The master of the Lan family is here? Qing Haoyin asked in surprise with a hint of surprise in his tone. Father, do you still expect the master of the Lan family to save you? To tell you the truth, they may not be able to leave Green Valley alive. What do you mean? Do you want to attack the Lan family? Qing Haoyin exclaimed. You don't have to worry about that. You'd better think about the things in the back of the mountain. Qing Shaoqing sneered. I've said it before. There are only mountains and forests in the back of the mountain. If you don't believe me, you can send people to search. After saying this, Qing Haoyin didn't say anything no matter what Qing Shaoqing said. After a while, Qing Shaoqing angrily pushed the door open and walked out. Gowei Batsao was so scared that he almost fell off the windowsill. Fortunately, Qing Shaoqing was so angry that he did not pay attention to anything else. After Qing Shaoqing left, Gowei Batsao slipped through the crack in the door. There was only a big bed in the room and an old man was trapped on it with a chain. The old man was described as thin as firewood. His eyes were dark and gloomy, and he looked like he was about to die. Gowei Batsao sighed in his heart. This old man was really miserable. However, it could not save him. Firstly, it did not have much spiritual power left. Secondly, even if it broke the old man's chain, the guards outside would not let him go. Gowei Batsao sneakily walked around the house and did not find anything else. It shook its leaves and sneaked out. When this guy sneaked back to Yin Chujia's courtyard, Yin Chujia was not there. Instead, she went to the Lan family's ancestors' courtyard. Patriarch, as you can see, the second branch of the Qing family clearly doesn't have good intentions. If we don't take the opportunity to kill them, once they completely take control of the Qing family, they will definitely be a hidden danger for us, Yin Chujia said. The Lan family's patriarch's face turned cold. He knew that Yin Chujia was right. Pandas novel. You are right, but the Green Valley is easy to defend and hard to attack. Moreover, the Divine Devil Hall and the Bitter Zen sect might even lend a helping hand. Even if we join hands with the Zen sect, we might not be able to win. Moreover, the guards we brought with us have been placed elsewhere by the Qing family. If we really fall out with them, I'm afraid we won't be able to protect ourselves. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said, Old ancestor, let's not fight them head-on. Let's try to outsmart them. Outsmart them? Oh. The Grand Ancestor asked in puzzlement. I think you should take a look at, isn't Qing Haoyin still alive? I think he's most likely controlled by Qing Shaoqing. If we can save him, things will be much easier. Although the Qing family is now controlled by Qing Shaoqing, there must still be a direct descendant of Qing Haoyin. When the time comes, we will work together from the inside and the outside. It will be much easier to take down the Qing family, Yun Chujio said with a smile. The ancestor of the Lan family shook his head. You think too simply. Since Qing Haoyin is controlled by Qing Shaoqing, there must be many guards. How can we easily save him? Yun Chujio's smile became brighter. We don't have to look for him ourselves. The opportunity will soon appear in front of us. The ancestor of the Lan family was even more confused. What do you mean? Qing Yuanda wants to marry us, so he will come to you soon. You have to meet him out of courtesy, don't you? When the time comes, leave this matter to him. As the head of the big house, if he can't even meet Qing Haoyin, then he is too useless. Yun Chujio curled her lips and said. This guy thought to himself, Miss Qing Yasai, I'm sorry. In order not to expose our relationship, I have to let uncle suffer. The reason why Yun Chujio did not tell the Lan family's patriarch about her relationship with Qing Yasai was that the Lan family's patriarch was a suspicious person. If he knew that she and Qing Yasai were old acquaintances, he might cause unnecessary trouble. Before the Lan family's patriarch could speak, there was a commotion outside. One could vaguely hear Qing Yuanda coughing. The ancestor of the Lan family and Elder Tu all looked at each other. This troublemaker was really smart. The ancestor of the Lan family did not go out immediately. After a while he asked Yun Chujio to go out and deal with it. When Yun Chujio came out, Qing Yuanda was in a confrontation with the guards. Qing Yuanda's face was red, obviously very angry. But in the past he could back down, but for his daughter he would do his best. Uncle, the old ancestor wants you to go in, Yun Chujio said indifferently. The guards looked at each other and had no choice but to let Qing Yuanda into the courtyard. Qing Yuanda nodded gratefully at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio could not help but feel a little bitter when she saw the slightly fawning look on Qing Yuanda's face. It could be said that this Uncle Qing had done his best for Miss Qing Si. Panda's novelcomer mission was to prevent them from disturbing the old ancestor and Qing Yuanda conversation. Sure enough, a moment later, Qing Yuan Kuei came over with Qing Jin. Yun Chujio arrived at the gate of the courtyard with a smile and said, Uncle, Sister Qing Jin, are you here to see me? Qing Yuan Kuei and Qing Jin's faces stiffened slightly. How could they answer such a shameless question? Could it be that they were not here to see her? Qing Yuan Kuei squeezed out a smile and said vaguely, We're here to see if you and the master of the Lan family need anything. Let's go in and talk. Yun Chujio immediately clapped her hands, giving Qing Yuan Kuei and Qing Jin a fright. Was this stupid girl crazy? That's great. Uncle, I have something to ask of you. Yun Chujio said excitedly. I think you should take a look at. Although Qing Yuan Kuei wanted to go in immediately, but Yun Chujio blocked the door of the courtyard. Now that they had not fallen out, he could not force his way in. He could only ask patiently, What is it? Miss Yun, please tell me. I want to visit your warehouse. Yesterday I only saw a little bit of it and I was already very shocked. The Qing family of the Valley of Fog really lives up to its reputation. I've never even heard of many spirit weapons. Yun Chujio said with envy. Qing Jin said with a little bit of pride, Of course. In terms of refining weapons in the Chongshao continent, our Qing family believes that we are second. No one dares to claim the first place. Oh right, didn't that sky-shaking crossbow go crazy last night? It destroyed a lot of spirit weapons, right? I feel sorry for you guys. Yun Chujio said with a sigh. Qing Yuan Kuei and Qing Jin's expressions immediately became a little ugly. This wretched girl had mentioned every single thing. She was really detestable. Qing Yuan Kuei didn't want to continue wasting time here with her. He said, Miss Yun, the warehouse is an important place of our Qing family. It's not convenient for outsiders to visit it. Let's go in and talk. Coincidentally, I have something to discuss with the head of the Lan family. Yun Chujio moved aside and said, All right, let's talk inside. Qing Yuan Kuei could not help but feel puzzled. Could it be that this stinky girl did not deliberately stop them here? If she deliberately stopped them, why did she let them in so easily? Qing Yuan Kuei did not have time to think too much. He hurriedly entered the house, only to see Qing Yuanda come out in a daze. He looked at him as if he wanted to eat him up. Qing Yuan Kuei was secretly happy. It seemed that Qing Yuanda had hit a wall. However, it was also true. If the head of the Lan family had some brains, he would not support the eldest and the second branch to go against each other. After Qing Yuan Kuei entered, he said a few words perfunctorily and then left. Yun Chujio looked at his and Qing Jin's backs and curled the corners of her lips. These two idiots probably did not know that there was a thing called a sound transmission talisman in this world, right? Yun Chujio knew that Qing Yuanda needed some time to think of a solution, So after she greeted her ancestor, she returned to her own courtyard. Go-Wei Batsao had already hidden under the bed, and she was thinking of how to tell Yun Chujio what she knew. It could not speak and it could not write. It was really a worrisome weed. This fellow could not think of any solution, so he simply gave up. Anyway, she already wanted to use Qing Yuanda to save that miserable old man. It did not matter if she told him or not. As for the secret of the back mountain, it was probably useless to the wretched girl. It did not matter if she told him or not. Hence, Go-Wei Batsao was at ease and nestled under the bed. That evening, Yun Chujio received news from the Lan family's patriarch. Qing Yuanda had thought of a solution. Yun Chujio immediately went to the Lan family's patriarch's courtyard. Qing Yuanda didn't say what he thought of, but he promised that he could see Qing Haoyan alone. "What are your plans next?" said the Lan family's patriarch. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. "Let's wait for him to see Qing Haoyan first. We have to know Qing Haoshan's trump card before we can decide on the next step." The Lan family's patriarch also had the same idea. If Qing Haoyan didn't have any trump cards, then he had to reconsider whether or not to get involved in this mess. After the discussion, Yun Chujio returned to her own courtyard. As soon as she entered the courtyard, the voice transmission talisman began to tremble. Yun Chujio lowered her head and saw that it was from Di Biming. This fellow was delighted and couldn't wait to send his spiritual sense in. However, before that, she cut off her spiritual sense connection so that Di Biming's words wouldn't be heard by the silly cuties in Guichao. After all, she was also a shy girl. Although the silly girls in Guichao could read Yun Chujio's thoughts, there was a prerequisite. I think you should take a look at if Yun Chujio cut off her spiritual sense, it would not be able to see what was outside, and it would not be able to read Yun Chujio's thoughts. Little Gio, I forgot to tell you something. Your spiritual beast is that Go-Wei Batsao. After Yun Chujio heard it, she gritted her teeth. No wonder she always met with some inexplicable things. It was all the work of Go-Wei Ba. This cheap grass. It actually learned how to save a small treasury. No wonder it was always better than acting cute to get her to let it out. So it was like this. Go-Wei Batsao under the bed was trembling. Although it did not know what Di Biming said, it had a bad feeling that the fiend was most likely to complain. Yun Chujio temporarily put the matter of Go-Wei Batsao aside and asked, "Prince Charming, Qingasai told me that not only did you send people to protect them, but you also gave them a lot of cultivation resources. Why didn't you tell me?" Very soon, the voice transmission talisman began to tremble. Di Biming said indifferently, "Your matters are my matters. Your family is my family. I do things for my family, do I need to take credit for them?" Yun Chujio curled her lips. This Tsundra was getting better at talking. The two chatted for a while more, and Yun Chujio put away the voice transmission talisman. She rolled her eyes and resumed the spiritual connection with Guichao. Guichao was terrified. It felt that it was doomed this time. At this moment, it heard Yun Chujio muttering to herself, "Sigh, I hate people who lie to me the most. If I find out who is lying to me, I will kill him." Upon hearing this, Guichao immediately began to tremble. The leaves of the grass were about to shake off. "It's over. It's over. This stinky girl must have already known that it had stolen the small treasury. What should it do? Otherwise, it would just refuse to admit it. At worst, it would not sneak out in the future." However, this stinky girl firmly believed in that fiend. Even if it did not admit it, it probably would not be able to do so. Why not confess and ask for leniency? Guichao was frightened for a long time, but he did not hear what Yun Chujio continued to say. Instead, he lay on the bed and read his script. Guichao thought to himself, could it be that she was not talking about it when she said those words just now? But she was referring to something else? No, if she was talking about someone else, why did she have to talk to herself? And she was speaking so vaguely? Guichao's heart was in a mess. It was so conflicted. Yun Chujio glanced at it and sneered in her heart. "Go-Wei Ba, let's wait and see." Guichao had been scared all night and its leaves were drooping. This kind of inhuman torture was too unbearable. She might as well beg for a quick death. This guy decided to turn himself in. Therefore, when Yun Chujio woke up, she saw a blade of grass kneeling on the ground. When Go-Wei Batsao saw that Yun Chujio had woken up, not only did it greet her with a bough of grass leaves, but it also kowtowed continuously with its grass ears. Yun Chujio was angry and amused at the same time. This cheap grass could bend and stretch. She did not know who it learned from to be so thick-skinned. "I think you should take a look at." Yun Chujio pretended to be surprised and covered her mouth as she said, "Oh my God, Go-Wei Ba, I didn't let you out either. Why did you come out?" Go-Wei Batsao cursed in its heart. This stupid girl deliberately teased it. She obviously knew everything, but she pretended to be like this. It was really too hateful. However, the grass was under the eaves and had no choice but to lower its head. It could only fawn and act cutely from the bottom of its heart. Its fawning look was simply unbearable to look at. Yun Chujio looked at Goei Bakeo's fawning look and felt that she shouldn't have named it Goei Batsao back then. She should have called it a lackey. She snorted coldly, "Good Goei Batsao, you are quite capable. You actually have the ability to save a small amount of money. Tell me, how should I punish you?" However, it was afraid because it knew that this wretched girl in front of it had a dark heart. She would definitely think of a way to torture it. "Was it you who caused the sudden seizure of the crossbow?" Yun Chujio suddenly asked. Goei Batsao quickly shook its leaves and admitted to it. It was delighted. It had done a meritorious deed. The girl might have spared it because of this matter. However, it never expected that Yun Chujio would point at it and scold, "You idiot, do you think you have done a meritorious deed?" Goei Batsao was completely dumbfounded. What did she mean? Could it be that she had done something wrong? It's fine if you've angered the heaven-shocking crossbow, but why did you let it destroy so many spiritual artifacts? You're a prodigal. Those spiritual artifacts are all money. Goei Batsao couldn't turn around. These spiritual artifacts belonged to the Qing family, not this wretched girl. Why was she so anxious? However, it quickly reacted. This damn girl was someone who would pluck feathers from a wild goose. If she helped the Qing family's eldest son get rid of the second son, she would definitely ask for some benefits. In a sense, this Qing family spirit tool also belonged to her. After Goei Batsao reacted, it hurriedly kowtowed and begged for mercy. After all, it didn't have any morals. As long as the damn girl calmed down, it would be fine. Yun Chujio snorted coldly. "Don't give me that trick. On the one hand, you're showing me your heart, and on the other hand, you're hiding a small treasury behind my back. You scheming bastard." When this fellow said this, he couldn't help but feel a little stifled. Her silly cuteness was all fame, but in reality they were useless embroidered pillows. The most hateful thing was that each and every one of them looked silly, but in reality, they were all hiding their narrow-mindedness. It was really annoying. However, when she thought about it carefully, Goei Batsao had helped her a lot, although some of them did not help her much. But at least it showed that this scheming grass still wanted to contribute. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio said lightly, "Forget it, I won't argue with you about what happened before. But if you continue to play tricks behind my back, I will definitely let you know what it means to be unable to live, unable to die." Goei Batsao quickly compared herself to her, only missing a long tail wagging behind her. Pandas novel Kamsh did not think that Goei Batsao was a well-behaved person. Must have done something else. Goei Batsao felt that this was a good opportunity to take credit, but this fellow only realized after a while that it could not speak. It only felt sad. Just because it could not speak, it had missed so many good opportunities to take credit. Just because it could not speak, it could only watch as an idiot like Buttface forcefully became the #1 dumb and cute. Just because it could not speak, it had lost so many opportunities to talk to Xiao Mogu. The last sentence was pure nonsense. It did not think that way. Yun Chujio also remembered that this guy couldn't speak, but she had a good idea. "If you can't speak, you can write." "Write it." Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows and said, "I think you should take a look at Go Weiba." Woo, it was illiterate. Seeing this, Yun Chujio mocked, "Tiskti, I forgot, you are an illiterate idiot. How pitiful." Goei Batsao was so angry that it wanted to slap Hei Shinjo away. However, it was just thinking about it. In the beginning, it still wanted to kill Yun Chujio and replace her. But now it did not dare to, or rather it did not want to. As for the reason why it did not want to do so, it did not want to think about it. After all, Go Weiba could do whatever it wanted to do. Why would it have so many reasons? Yun Chujio looked at Go Weiba, who was so angry that its leaves were about to fly away, and felt very happy. She rolled her eyes and said, "You don't know how to write or draw, right? Draw it for me to see." Goei Batsao was immediately delighted. "That's right. I could draw it." Yun Chujio spread a piece of paper on the table. Goei Batsao dipped its leaves in ink and drew a room on the paper. Then she drew an old man who was trapped in a chain. "You drew Qing Haotian? Did you see him?" Yun Chujio asked in surprise. Go Weiba proudly shook its leaves. Now that it had mastered the skill of drawing, it could still learn to read in the future. The opportunity for Go Weiba to make a name for itself had finally arrived. Whatever Buttface, Hun Dun, Curly Hair, or Xiao Hanyo were all no match for it. They had to submit to Go Weiba. Ah. This fellow was really too proud of itself. As it was not a real entity, the ink on the leaves seemed to be floating, but it was supported by spiritual power. With such a show-off, all the ink was thrown onto Yun Chujia's clothes and face. Chapter 5286. Goei Butsao. Yun Chujio squeezed out 2 words from between her teeth. Goei Butsao, you're courting death. Goei Butsao finally fully understood the meaning of the idiom, extreme joy begets sorrow. It was sent flying by Yun Chujia's slap. And that was not all. It was kicked a few more times and scolded dozens of times. Goei Butsao did not have much spiritual energy left, but after this torment, it immediately dissipated. Yun Chujio snorted coldly, "What? Are you playing the little treasury trick again? Get out here." The strange grass in her dantian wanted to cry, but no tears came out. This time, it had really dissipated. Where was the little treasury? This was the price of lying. After lying once, no one would believe what she said later. However, this fellow was puzzled. This stupid girl treated lying as food all day long, so how could she still deceive others? Did those people not have brains? In the end, it was because it was not good at lying. Unlike this stupid girl, she was a drama queen. Although this guy was cursing in his heart, he kept acting cute on the surface. The black bead and the great void mirror in his dantian could not bear to look at him. It was really embarrassing to live with such a lackey. Yun Chujio washed her face and changed her clothes. She glared at Guai Chao fiercely and then let it out. Goei Butsao immediately flew to the table. After comparing her feelings, she continued to draw. She drew a person beside the bed, but she did not know how to describe the person as Qing Shaoqing. Fortunately, Yun Chujio guessed, "You drew Qing Shaoqing later?" Guai Chao hurriedly shook its leaves to express its agreement. In its heart, it thought, this stupid girl is really smart. She is simply not a human but a pervert. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. Why did Qing Shaoqing go to see Qing Haotian? Did he threaten him to pass the position of family head to him? Go Weiba shook its leaves to show that she was right. Yun Chujio thought for a moment and said, "Draw the arrangement of the guards outside." Goei Butsao immediately buried its head in drawing and finished drawing after a while. Yun Chujio was already unable to complain about Goei Bukao's drawing skills. Fortunately, she was smarter and could barely see what it was drawing. Goei Butsao saw that Yun Chujio was pondering over the matter and started to think of little Jiu in its heart. It had to think of a way to make the smelly girl be willing to let it out for a walk, or else it would suffocate in its dantian. However, what method could it think of? Before it could think of a way, it heard Yun Chujio say, "Turn into the smallest form, let me see." It did not know what kind of medicine Yun Chujio was selling, but the Goei Butsao still shrunk to the size of a pinky. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. No wonder she did not find this scheming grass before. If she did not pay special attention, it would indeed be difficult to notice. In the future, she could use it to investigate or pass on information. However, this fellow was a little unreliable and could easily get carried away. It was better to think about it first. However, this scheming grass was very secretive. It was better to calm her down a little so that she would not cause any trouble again. Hence, she said, "Go Weiba, I cannot confiscate your little treasury. I can also let you out from time to time to replenish your little treasury." Goei Butsao felt that she was hallucinating. Why was this wretched girl so kind? There was a conspiracy. There must be a big conspiracy. Yun Chujio saw its trembling appearance and could not help but laugh. She continued, "However, without my permission, you cannot act on your own. Otherwise, I will not forgive you." Although Goei Butsao felt that this matter was like a dream, it still agreed without hesitation. What a joke. It was not a stupid plant, so it naturally would not reject such a good thing. Seeing that Goei Butsao agreed, Yun Chujio did not bother with it anymore. Instead, she sat on the chair and pondered over the matter. Goei Butsao did not dare to move at first. Later, when she saw that Yun Chujio did not seem to have any intention of doing anything to it, it started to let loose. Previously, it was afraid of being discovered by Yun Chujio, so it had always been sneaky. But now it was different. Goei Butsao had crossed the bright road. Goei Butsao was no longer a black grass without status. This fellow began to jump up and down in the house. It did not even know how to show off. Yun Chujio occasionally glanced at it, feeling puzzled. How was this grass? It was simply a madman. There was no time to stop. After the silly cuties saw this scene through Yun Chujio's spiritual sense, they each had their own thoughts. Among them, 2 were the most indignant. One was Butt Face and the other was Buddha's candle. These two fellows had been fighting openly and secretly, both wanting to fight for the throne of the number one spiritual pet. Now a Gowei Batsao had appeared. How hateful. Most importantly, this Gowei Batsao had a huge advantage over them, and that was that it was not afraid of death. Because it was only a spiritual beast, its main body was in Yun Chuji's Dantian, so even if they wanted to take care of it, they could not do anything about it. However, it was a man's work. It was still okay to complain about it for no reason. After all, that stupid grass could not speak. Gowei Batsao completely did not know that it had become a target for arrows. Of course, even if this fellow knew, he would not take it to heart. What a joke. Once Gowei Batsao appeared, who would be able to compete with it? Those idiots could not be compared to it at all. The number one throne was destined to be Gowei Bakao's. Putting everything else aside, it had already occupied the smelly girl's Dantian long ago. Who could compete with it? Moreover, the love-hate relationship between it and the smelly girl could already be written in several storybooks. Those idiots still wanted to compete with it? I think you should take a look at if it wasn't for the fact that it couldn't speak, how would they be able to show off? It was really shameless. Not to mention them even de-biming that malignant star, was ranked behind it. It was the first to know this smelly girl. Gowei Batsao was showing off for a while. When it saw that Yun Chujio was reading the script, it shamelessly went up to her. Yun Chujio's heart moved. Why not teach it to know more words so that it would not have to communicate with it in the future? Hence, Yun Chujio took out a pen and paper and began to teach Gowei Batsao how to read. When Buttface and Buddha's candle saw this, they became even more envious. However, they had no choice but to stare at it. However, they soon rolled around happily. The reason was simple. Although Gowei Batsao was very observant, it was really stupid when it came to literacy. Yun Chujio had just taught it, but it had forgotten about it as soon as it turned its head. The words it had written had lost its limbs, and it had almost angered Hei Shinjio to death. After teaching it for 4 hours, Gowei Batsao had only learned one word, yes, one. Yun Chujio, Panda's novel this fellow comforted himself. Grass wasn't perfect. A grass as handsome, powerful and smart as it was, one flaw was nothing. Learning one word a day, it could learn more than 300 words a year. Take it slow. It is not in a hurry to write love letters. What is the hurry? Anyway, it in Xiaomogu or baby. When the Gowei Batsao thought of Xiaomogu, its leaves immediately curled up. It was simply spouting nonsense just now, it did not think that way at all. This fellow looked at Yun Chujio guiltily, and then realized that although it could understand Yun Chujio's thoughts, Yun Chujio could not pry into its thoughts. It immediately had a sense of superiority. Diske, no matter how perverted this girl was, she could not do anything to it. Although Yun Chujio could not read the thoughts of the Guaichao, she could still feel its emotions and felt that it was very smug. It was funny in her heart. Where did a lousy Guaichao get the courage to be smug? The next morning, the ancestor of the Lan family called Yun Chujio over. Qing Yuanda has sent news that he has already met Qing Haotian, said the patriarch of the Lan family. What's the situation? Does Qing Haotian still have a trump card? Yun Chujio asked hurriedly. He does have one, but it's very limited. There are only 100 elite guards. It was estimated that Qing Haotian had not let those people make any moves for a long time. Firstly, Qing Shaoqing had threatened the lives of the people from the big house. Secondly, there were too few people, so Qing Haotian did not dare to act rashly. Indeed, more than 100 people were not enough. The Qing residents had 400 to 500 guards on the surface, so there was no chance of winning. Since the second branch of the Qing family is not going to attack us for the time being, why don't we leave? The ancestor of the Lan family said with a sigh. Yun Chujio naturally did not want to leave. If nothing else, she could not ignore Qing's life and death. She blinked her eyes and said, Ancestor, although more than 100 people are indeed a little small, didn't we bring a few hundred people? Moreover, your cultivation is much stronger than Qing Shaoqing's. As long as you take him down and Qing Haotian appears, the subordinates of the second branch will abandon the dark side and join the light. The old ancestor of the Lan family was actually very conflicted. If Qing Shaoqing completely took control of the Qing family, it would not be good news for the Lan family. I think you should take a look at. He pondered for a moment and asked, do you have any good ideas? Yun Chujio did not say anything but laughed. The ancestor of the Lan family and elder Tua saw her sinister smile and could not help but shiver. This troublemaker was going to play dirty again. Let's create a diversion and fish in troubled waters. Tonight, I will think of a way to set a few fires in the Qing mansion and let Qing Yuanda bring more than 100 elites to save Qing Haotian. When the time comes, Qing Shaoqing will definitely lead his men to stop them. Well, send a mantis to catch the cicada and a oriole to catch the oriole behind. You and old Tua will work together to take down Qing Shaoqing. As long as we take down Qing Shaoqing, the rest of the matter will be much easier to handle, Yun Chujio said with a smile. What you said is also feasible. However, Qing Mansion is heavily guarded. I'm afraid it won't be easy to set a fire right under their noses, the old ancestor said with a frown. Seeing that she had a plan in mind, the Lan family's old ancestor agreed to her plan. The three of them discussed the details before Yun Chujio returned to her courtyard. She rested up and waited for night to come. When night fell, Yun Chujio released a small flame. For a small flame, setting a few fires was simply too easy. Yun Chujio told the small flame to set a fire at a place that was quite far away. Moreover, they were very scattered. This way, the guards of the Qing residence would be scattered and it would be easier to carry out their tasks. Soon the Qing mansion was in chaos. In the darkness of the night, many flames soared into the sky. Qing Shaoqing was shocked and angry. He quickly sent people to put out the fire. However, he soon realized that something was wrong. He immediately rushed to the Qingfeng garden where Qing Haoyan was imprisoned without caring about anything else. The three ancestors of the Lan family followed them from afar. At this time the Qing mansion was in chaos, so no one stopped them. When Qing Shaoqing arrived at Qingfeng garden, Qing Yuanda and his men had already started fighting with the guards. When Qing Shaoqing saw that the leader was Qing Yuanda and there was no one else, he immediately felt relieved. A mere Qing Yuanda could not stir up a storm at all. He shouted coldly, "Stop. Yuanda, are you crazy? Do you not care about the life and death of the entire house? Moreover, with just a few people like you, do you think you can contend with me?" Qing Yuanda naturally would not listen to him. Today he had already given up everything. He only had one chance. If he did not succeed, he would die. A cold smile appeared on Qing Shaoqing's face. He was about to step forward and take down Qing Yuanda, but he felt a murderous aura coming from behind him. He subconsciously dodged to the side. He did not expect that for some reason his feet would go soft. He actually tripped himself and became a dog gnawing mud. Therefore, the Lan family's ancestor and elder Tua did not expend any effort to control Qing Shaoqing. Both of them were a little dumbfounded. Although their cultivation was much higher than Qing Shaoqing's, wasn't this too easy? Not to mention other things, Qing Shaoqing must have many good life-saving things on him, but he did not activate any of them? How would they know that Qing Shaoqing was caught off guard and fell? For a moment he did not care about activating the spiritual weapon, and was caught just like that. As for the reason why Qing Shaoqing fell, it was naturally the curse of the Xiaohanyo. I think you should take a look at the Xiaohanyo. Glanced at Buttface and Hun Dun, who was wearing a green sweater with a hint of pride. It didn't want to participate in the usual jealousy. Panda's novel. Not to mention other things, its curse skill was the little girl's life-saving trump card. At any time the little girl wouldn't treat it unfairly. It disdained to participate in those childish pet fighting games. Sitting on the mountain and watching the tiger fight was where its fun lay. Once Qing Shaoqing was captured, the situation completely changed. Qing Yuanda said loudly, "The culprit is now under control. Seeing that you are only bewitched by Qing Shaoqing, as long as you stop now and let bygones be bygones, or else we will kill without mercy." Although Qing Yuanda was a generation younger than Qing Shaoqing, he was still the head of the big house. With this shout, his power was still there. Immediately the guards began to hesitate. Yun Chujio echoed with a clear voice, "The internal strife of the Qing family has nothing to do with you. Why do you have to die in vain?" To tell you the truth, not only are there 5,000 guards of the Lan family outside Fog Valley City, but there are also 5,000 men of the Zen sect. If you resist stubbornly, you will only die. Some of the guards did not like the fact that Qing Shaoqing had imprisoned their father and harmed their relatives, so they immediately retreated to the side. When the others saw this, they also retreated to the side. Although there were still a few direct descendants of Qing Shaoqing, they did not dare to act rashly since Qing Shaoqing was in the hands of the Lan family's patriarch. Qing Yuanda cupped his fists gratefully at the Lan family's patriarch and then led his men into the house. After cutting off the chains and feeding Qing Haoyan some elixirs, he helped Qing Haoyan out of the house. Qing Haoyan did not expect to see the light of day again. He could not help but cry. However, he was the leader of the Qing family after all. After a short sigh, he regained his calm. He bowed to the Lan family's patriarch with great difficulty. Senior Lan, I will thank you after I clean up the Qing family's mess. The Lan family's patriarch nodded. No worries. At this moment, Qing Yuankui arrived with his men. When he saw that Qing Shaoqing had been captured, his face turned pale with fright. Qing Haoyan shouted angrily, "Evil creature! Hurry up and surrender." Qing Shaoqing was the backbone of the second branch. Now that he had been captured, Qing Yuankui had no idea what to do. He didn't know what to do at the moment. He weighed his options and knelt on the ground. Grandfather, I was forced by my father. I don't want to do this either. This was all father's idea. Please spare me. Qing Shaoqing almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Was this retribution? He had imprisoned his father, but now he was abandoned by his own son. This was really retribution. Qing Haoyan did not say much. Instead, he had people control Qing Yuankui. Once Qing Shaoqing and Qing Yuankui were captured, things became much easier. Before dawn, Qing Haoyan had already regained control of the Qing family. Whether it was Qing Haoyan or Qing Yuanda, they all felt that this was like a dream. How could it be so easy? In the end, first of all, Qing Shaoqing had underestimated the enemy. He did not expect that the ancestor of the Lan family would actually help the chief branch. The most important thing now was to interrogate Qing Shaoqing and his son. At the very least, they had to make him hand over the antidote of the eldest branch's people. I think you should take a look at Qing Shaoqing sneered. I admit defeat. However, don't even think about the antidote. I can't get better and neither can you. Qing Haoyan was so angry that he wanted to slap him to death. In the end, it was Qing Yuankui who confessed that the bitter Zen sect gave them the poison. They only had pills to temporarily control the pain and did not have the antidote. Qing Haoyan looked at De Fong, who was so stupid and disabled that even Qing Yuanda would cough from time to time. He could not help but burst into tears. This was the fate of the Qing family. For a moment, the Qing family was once again in a miserable state. Yun Chujio felt that it was time for her to make a move. Therefore this guide tactfully said to Qing Haoyan, Senior Qing, I can try to detoxify them, but the antidote is very expensive, and it takes a lot of time and effort to refine. If it's not done well, I might even have to bear the risk of exploding the furnace. Qing Haoyan immediately understood what she meant. Was this little girl negotiating conditions? He immediately agreed. As long as Yun Chujio could detoxify the people of the main branch, any conditions would be met. Yun Chujio fulfilled her wish and immediately went to the main branch. This guy had the Guai Chao in his hand. Although there were some communication difficulties, he still spent a few days to prepare the antidote. Gowei Batsao had made another contribution. He did not know how to show off. Buttface and Buddha's candle were so angry that they were even more jealous of this guy. Qing Haoyan fulfilled his promise. Not only did he sell a batch of spiritual artifacts to the Lan family at an extremely favorable price, but he also gave Yun Chujio 3 top-tier flying spiritual artifacts and several defensive spiritual artifacts. After the Qing family's matter was settled, the Lan family's ancestor did not plan to stay any longer. After all, he had been out for some time, so he bid his farewell. Qing Haoyan tried his best to persuade her to stay, but seeing that the ancestor of the Lan family had made up his mind, he had no choice but to agree. Before she left, Qing Isai came to see Yun Chujio. Little Jio, thank you for what happened this time. Qing Isai said and was about to kneel down. Miss Qing Si, what are you doing? We are sisters, there's no need to talk about this. By the way, how did Master Qing punish the second branch? Yun Chujio quickly supported her and changed the topic. Qing Shaoqing and Qing Yuankui were crippled by their great-grandfather and imprisoned. The rest were expelled from the ancestral house after being tortured and demoted to a branch. Yun Chujio shook her head in her heart. This Qing Haoyan was too merciful. The old fox's way of doing things was more suitable for controlling a large family. Just as she was thinking about it, she realized that Qing Isai wanted to say something, but she hesitated. Miss Qing Si, what do you want to say? Yun Chujio asked in confusion. Qing Isai gritted her teeth and said, I think that if we don't get rid of the weeds, there will be trouble in the future, so I plan to kill Qing Shaoqing and Qing Yuankui behind my great-grandfather's back. As for the other people in the second branch, they are nothing to be afraid of, but we have to send people to monitor them at all times. Yun Chujio's eyes lit up. Oh my, Miss Qing Si has turned dark. However, this was also good. Otherwise she would be at a disadvantage. Panda's novel Kamian Chujio shook her head repeatedly. No, you did the right thing. This is how it should be. Being merciful to the enemy is cruel to yourself. Qing Isai smiled in relief. Both her great-grandfather and father were too kind, so she should be the villain. I think you should take a look at the two chatted for a while, and Yun Chujio suddenly remembered something and said, Miss Qing Si, since Xianji knows about your physique he probably won't let it go. You must be careful. Qing Si nodded. Father also thought of this. From now on, the Qing family of the Valley of Fog will strengthen our guards, and we won't easily see outsiders. Hearing this, Yun Chujio felt relieved and left. The ancestor of the Lan family was in a good mood. Although the Qing family of the Valley of Fog would not openly fall out with the other three families in the future, they would definitely control the spiritual artifacts sold to them. In this way the Lan family would have an advantage. The three of them brought their subordinates out of the Valley of Fog and met with a master lay of the Zen sect. The ancestor of the Lan family recounted what had happened and handed over the gift of thanks that Qing Haoyin had entrusted to him to the Zen sect to Master Lei. Master Lei put his palms together and said, Amitabha. I didn't expect that Xianji as a monk would have such lewd and evil thoughts. It's really disgraceful. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and said, Master Lei, the bitter Zen sect will be a disaster sooner or later. Why don't we take the initiative to destroy them? Otherwise they might cause some trouble again. We need to plan this matter carefully. I will report it to the sect master when I go back, said Master Lei. By the way, Qing Si's physique is easy to cause trouble, so please don't let too many people know about this, Yun Chujio pleaded. After Master Lei nodded and agreed, the two sides separated. The Guai Chao and Yun Chujius Dantian suddenly remembered something. It was the thing that Qing Shaoqing used to threaten Qing Haoyin at the back of the mountain, but she forgot to tell the stupid girl about it. Therefore, Gowei Batsao found an opportunity to draw a picture. Hei Xinjiu took a long time to figure out what it meant. She did not take it to heart. Since it was a secret of the Qing family, she should not get involved. The journey was smooth. However, the closer they got to the imperial city, the darker the sky became and the faint sound of thunder could be heard. Hei Xinjiu immediately jumped up from her chair and looked into the distance through the observation window. She saw lightning and thunder in the distance. Judging from the direction, it was Mount Meru. This fellow was immediately enraged. Alright. Damn Wu Yun. She actually wanted to take advantage of her absence to secretly strike lightning. She was really courting death. She immediately said to the Lan family's patriarch, Patriarch, I won't be returning to the imperial city with you for now. I'll make a trip to Mount Meru. The Lan family's patriarch knew that this fellow wanted to absorb lightning, so he did not stop her. He only gave her a few words of advice. It was nothing more than to pay attention to Yun Yun's safety. Yun Chujio quickly agreed. Then she got off the flying spirit tool and sat on the chopping board as she headed straight for Mount Meru. This fellow was burning with anxiety. If she was too late, she would not be able to withstand the strike. The dark clouds floating above Mount Meru saw Yun Chujio from afar and trembled in fear. Oh no! The wretched girl who wanted to fish for the Yun wings was here. It could not be bothered to continue attacking Mount Meru and ran away. Yun Chujio was furious. She pulled her neck and shouted, Hey, wait a minute. Chop me a few times before you run away. Wu Yun did not dare to stop. What kind of joke was this? Nothing that this brat said was true. It would only stop if it was stupid. Seeing that Wu Yun was about to run away, Yun Chujio was so anxious that her forehead was covered in sweat. In a moment of desperation, she shouted, Wait. As long as you chop me a few times, I will return you a cloud wing. I promise to keep my word. If I lie, I will be struck by lightning and die a horrible death. Hearing that, Wu Yun ran even faster. Struck by lightning? You fucking want to be struck by lightning. I think you should take a look at so what you said must be a lie. Yun Chujio also realized that her oath seemed to be somewhat inappropriate, mainly because she was used to saying it. She hurriedly shouted, If I lie to you, let me drown in the water and burn to death. Wu Yun paused. Could it be that what the brat said this time was true? When Yun Chujio saw that it had stopped, her heart immediately rejoiced. She said, I didn't lie to you. Think about it. There's no use for me to have Yun wings. Why don't I exchange them for a few bolts of lightning? Moreover, you can strike from a distance away from me. That way you won't be afraid that I'll cheat you, right? Wu Yun was a little tempted. Previously, Yun Chujio had hooked a cloud wing away from it. If she could get it back, it would naturally be good. Besides, she was right. As long as he was far away, there would be no danger. Therefore Wu Yun flew back. Yun Chujio quickly landed on the ground. She smiled like a playboy who was trying to trick a little girl. Come on, little boy. Chop me. Chop me to your heart's content. Wu Yun shivered in disgust at the word little boy. He hacked at He Xingjiu with all the remaining power of lightning. He Xingjiu did not expect Wu Yun to do that. When she saw the thick lightning, she wanted to dodge it. However, the lightning did not come easily. If she managed to dodge it, she did not know when she would be struck again. Therefore, she made up her mind and was struck by the lightning without dodging. After a loud explosion, a deep pit with black smoke appeared on the ground. Wu Yun in the sky was waiting happily for Yun Chujio to return the cloud wings to it. However, after waiting for a while, Yun Chujio still did not climb out of the pit. It could not help but feel happy. Could it be that it had accidentally killed that stupid girl? Wu Yun waited for a while more. When he saw that there was still no movement in the pit, he could not care about Yuni anymore. He hopped away happily. Pandas Novels Come had struck Wu Yun's nemesis, the killer of heavenly thunder, that scourge to death. In the deep pit, Yun Chujio was lying quietly. Her body was covered in scorched soil. Her hair and eyebrows had turned into ashes. Her clothes had also turned into ashes. Fortunately, there was still soil covering her body. Otherwise, she would have been completely exposed. If someone else saw it, they would definitely think that there was a dead person lying in the pit because she was not breathing at all. Of course, nobody would have seen He Xinjia floating on top of her. He Xinjia was dumbfounded. Why was she struck so hard that her soul left her body? Did she die just like that? She comforted herself that she might have gone into shock because she was struck too hard just now. She would probably recover soon. However, from dusk until nightfall, and from nightfall until the sun rose slowly, her body still showed no signs of waking up. Pandas Novel. He Xinjio wanted to cry, but no tears came out. If she had known this would happen, she would have rather wasted that heavenly thunder. At least, it would not have turned out like this. It was really not worth it. However, it was useless to regret. Things had already happened. Just as this fellow was feeling vexed, she heard the sound of chaotic footsteps from afar. Her heart tightened. The Lan family must have found her. She was not wearing any clothes now. If she was seen, it would be terrible. In a moment of desperation, she tried to communicate with Guai Chao. Needless to say, she had established a connection with Guai Chao. Yun Chujio was puzzled. Why could she establish a connection with Guai Chao even though she could not communicate with other dumb cuties? This question flashed across her mind. Now was not the time to think about it. She quickly let Guai Chao take over her body and let it bury her in the soil. Go Weiba, ask someone to throw you a set of clothes and put them on later. I think you should take a look at him warning you, put on your clothes with your eyes closed or he'll kill you. Yun Chujio warned. Go Weiba Cao obediently agreed, but in its heart, it cursed Peach. You've become a drifter and you still dare to threaten me? If I'm unhappy, I'll make you run for your life. Of course, this fellow was only thinking about it, he didn't dare. The people who came were not only the guards of the Lan family, but also Yun Chujia's own guards. The reason was very simple. Lung Yun had been paying attention to the movements of the Lan family. When he heard that Yun Chujio hadn't returned all night, he quickly rushed over with his men. Go Weiba followed Yun Chujia's instructions and shouted at the top of his lungs, Lung Yun, throw me a set of clean clothes, all of you stay away. Lung Yun, did his master forget that there was a storage ring? Or was there no clothes in his master's storage ring? Goei Batsao closed his eyes and put the clothes that Lung Yun threw on his body. Then he shouted, Lung Yun, come down and bring me up. Lung Yun didn't think much about it. He thought that his master must have been seriously injured so he couldn't come up. Therefore he went into the deep pit and carried Yun Chujio up. The light in the pit was dim, so Lung Yun did not pay much attention to it. When he reached the top, he realized that his master was wearing his clothes on the wrong side. Also, where were his master's hair and eyebrows? Yun Chujio was so angry when she saw her stupid look. This damn dogtail, could it be that Go Weiba did not even know how to wear clothes? Go Weiba cursed in his heart, the baby did not wear clothes, can wear good enough. Although Lung Yun had many questions in his heart, he did not dare to ask too much. He said, Miss, are we returning to the city now? Are you stupid? If not, where are we going? Goei Batsao curled his lips and said. Lung Yun choked on his words and hurriedly said, Yes, this subordinate is slow. Miss, please? Goei Batsao snorted and then moved forward, and jumped. Everyone looked at Yun Chujio, who was desperately swinging her arms and jumping forward. They were all dumbfounded. Was her brain damaged by the lightning? Yun Chujio was so angry that she was about to puke. Go Weiba. You idiot. You are a human now, not a grass. You better walk properly. Go Weiba did not expect Yun Chujio to suddenly make a sound. It was frightened by her and fell to the ground with a thud. Yun Chujio felt that she had most likely never been so embarrassed in her life. This Go Weiba was really a piece of shit. Go Weibatsao sensed her thoughts and cursed in its heart. You are the shit. Your whole family is a piece of shit. Go Weiba was a world-shaking hero, not some piece of shit. In order to take revenge on He Xinjiu, this guy deliberately tripped his left leg and right leg when he got up and fell again. Yun Chujio was so angry that she wished she could strangle Go Weibatsao to death. She said coldly, Go Weibatsao, if you continue to act like a demon, you will never see Xiao Mogu again. Go Weibatsao immediately cowered, and a fawning expression appeared on her face. Yun Chujio saw the fawning expression on her face and felt extremely stifled. Alright, pretend to faint now. Don't embarrass yourself here. Yun Chujio said to Go Weibatsao. Go Weibatsao had no choice but to unwillingly fall to the ground and pretend to faint. Lung Yun was shocked and hurriedly used the soft couch to carry Yun Chujio as they ran towards the imperial city. I think you should take a look at Go Weibatsao lay on the soft couch and secretly opened its eyes to look at the scenery from time to time. This fellow felt that possessing the smelly girl's body was not bad. At the very least, it could eat a lot of medicinal herbs and jump around. It was just that it could not use the smelly girl's spiritual power. Otherwise, it could release Xiao Mogu to cultivate its feelings. Yun Chujio looked at the shifty-eyed herself and felt the malicious intent of the heavens. What did she do wrong to suffer such inhuman torture? However, no matter what, she had to be thankful for the Guaichao. Otherwise, she would have to run away. Moreover, if she remained unconscious, the old fox of the Lan family's ancestor might give up on her and use her to exchange for benefits with the divine devil Hall. It was not that she thought too badly of people, but that sometimes human nature could not stand the test. Although Go Weibatsao was a little out of place, as long as she stayed in her room, there should not be any problems for a short period of time. Perhaps she could return to her body in a few days. At this moment, Lung Yun, who was carrying the limp body, felt a little complicated. He was not blind, so he naturally saw Yun Chujio opening her eyes from time to time to look around. He thought to himself, it seemed that her master's brain had really been struck by lightning. Otherwise, why would he act so strangely? He looked like a fool. Pandas novel. Come after everyone entered the imperial city, Go Weiba could not stay idle anymore. It had always wanted to stroll around the market and finally, it had an opportunity. It could not miss this good opportunity. Perhaps that stinky girl would quickly return to normal, and when that time came, it would not have a chance. Thus, Lung Yun watched helplessly as his master rolled from the soft couch to the ground. Then he got up, swung his arms and jumped into the medicinal herb shop next to him. As it was early in the morning, there were only a few customers in the herb shop. Pandas novel Commisant this Miss Yun? How did she become bald? It was one thing for her to become bald, but why was her face covered in mud? And why was she wearing her clothes inside out? What surprised them the most was that Miss Yun's walking posture was so strange. Why did she swing her arms so hard? He Xinjiu, who was floating behind Go Weibatsao, was so angry that she was about to explode. This damn Go Weibatsao. However, no matter how she cursed, Go Weibatsao seemed to not hear her. It jumped in front of the shopkeeper and said, I want all herbs above the earth grade. Although the shopkeeper felt that Yun Chujio was a little strange, he didn't have any reason to push the sale out of the door. He immediately smiled apologetically and said, I'll put it away for you right away. After a while, the shopkeeper took out a storage ring and handed it to Go Weibatsao. Miss Yun, the herbs you want are all inside. I'll wipe the change for you. It's a total of 50 million upper-grade spirit stones. Go Weibatsao suddenly remembered that it had to pay for the items, but it couldn't open Yun Chujio's storage ring. What should it do? This guy looked at Lung Yun. What are you waiting for? Lung Yun? He was only a small team leader, how could he have so much money? However, seeing that Go Weibatsao didn't look like he was joking, he had no choice but to force his men to gather the money. It wasn't easy for him to gather 50 million upper-grade spirit stones. Everyone felt aggrieved. Well, they did not receive a month's salary, but they had put all their wealth into it. I think you should take a look at Lung Yun even suspected that his master was deliberately pretending to be crazy to plunder their wealth. Go Weibatsao held the storage ring and said happily, let's go back to the mansion. Lung Yun saw that it was holding the storage ring with its hand but did not put it into his own storage ring. He could not help but feel even more puzzled. He forced himself to ask, "Miss, why don't you put these herbs into your storage ring?" Yun Chujio, who was floating behind them, deliberately did not say anything. She wanted to see how Go Weiba would answer. Sigh. I was struck by lightning, so I can't use my spiritual power for the time being. It will be fine in a few days. Go Weibatsao sighed. Yun Chujio, damn it, this scheming grass was getting more and more sophisticated. Lung Yun heard this and suddenly realized. No wonder his master was so strange. So that was it. Go Weibatsao originally wanted to walk around on the street, but it was in a hurry to go back and eat those herbs, so it lay back on the soft bed and was carried back to the Lan family's third house. Hong Ling and the other two were shocked when they saw Go Weibatsao. How did my miss become like this? After Leng Yun and the others left, Go Weibatsao pointed at Hong Ling, "Come in with me." Hong Ling felt that the way her lady spoke was different from usual. However, she did not think too much about it and followed Go Weibatsao into the house. "Take out the medicinal herbs in this ring," Go Weibatsao said anxiously. Hong Ling was stunned. Why did she have to take them out? Why didn't Lady take them out herself? However, she did not dare to say anything. However, when she saw the number of medicinal herbs in the storage ring, she asked uncertainly, "Lady, take out all the medicinal herbs in this ring?" Go Weibatsao nodded. "Take them out? What a joke. If he didn't take them out, how could he eat them?" Chapter 5296 The baby doesn't want to talk to you. Hong Ling braced herself and took out all the medicinal herbs in her storage ring. She stuffed Yun Chujia's house full, leaving only the bed and a narrow corridor without any medicinal herbs. Go Weibatsao was so happy that it was about to bloom. That smelly girl never let it eat its fill. Now it could finally eat enough. As expected, it was better to beg others than to beg oneself. It was better to do it yourself in order to have enough food and clothing. Hong Ling saw the fervent gaze of Go Weibatsao and was even more puzzled. Why did it become so strange for her miss to go out? She saw the mud on Yun Chujia's face and the man's clothes that were full of dust and said, "Miss, I will prepare a bath for you. Would you like to take a bath?" Go Weiba waved his hands repeatedly. No, this is good." "Hong Ling, are you sure this is good?" Her face was dirty, her clothes were dirty, and she was wearing them inside out. How was it good? Although Hong Ling did not agree, she did not dare to say too much. She turned around and closed the door. Go Weibatsao saw that Hong Ling had gone out, grabbed a handful of herbs and stuffed them into her mouth. She felt like she was living like a god. Yun Chujio looked at Go Weibatsao, who was gobbling down the herbs, and was so angry that she was twitching. She scolded, "Go Weibatsao, you imbecile. Just you wait." Go Weibatsao originally did not want to bother with Yun Chujio, but thinking about it, it was not easy for it to use her body to speak, so why not vent its anger? So, after swallowing a handful of herbs, it said, "Chimp, do you know how much help I have secretly helped you? Let's not talk about the distant ones, let's talk about the near ones. In the 10,000-year-old swamp, if it was not for me, would those blue demonic insects have obediently let you go? Also, during the 10,000 Buddha Dharma assembly, if it weren't for my help, why would Yuan Ji shoot himself to death for no reason? You only know how to scold me all day long. What did I do wrong?" Yun Chujio looked at its confident manner and was amused. "Go Weiba, that's good. You're very wronged, aren't you?" Go Weiba snorted, "Of course I'm so wronged." Yun Chujio sneered, "Since you're arguing with me, then I'll talk to you properly. Let's put other things aside. What do you say if you come and occupy my dantian uninvited?" Go Weibatsao blinked guiltily, "I still want to eat grass. I don't want to talk to you." Yun Chujio saw that it looked like a dead pig that was not afraid of boiling water, so she was too lazy to talk nonsense with it. She wondered what was going on. She had encountered similar situations twice before. One time, it was because Go Weiba had forcefully taken over her body, and the other time, it was under the ghost city in the desert of death. However, this time was obviously different from the previous two times. This time it was definitely not Go Weiba doing, and it was not caused by the environment. Moreover, in the past she had been struck by lightning until she was half dead. At most, her tendons and veins were torn apart. There had never been such a situation where her soul had left her body. Yun Chujio suddenly had a thought. No, there was another similar situation. When she entered the ghost realm, her body was left in a secret room while her primordial spirit followed the murderous aura into the ghost realm. Could it be that the incident this time was related to the murderous aura? Speaking of which, the murderous aura had not moved for a long time. Could it be that it was going to play some tricks again? Yun Chujio told Goei Batsao her guess, not because she trusted it, but because she could only tell it now. Goei Batsao was busy eating the herbs and said absent-mindedly, "Anyway, those drifters won't harm you. What are you afraid of?" "How do you know they won't harm me?" Yun Chujio raised her eyebrows and asked. Goei Batsao choked and said, "If they wanted to harm you, they would have done it long ago. Why would they wait until now?" Although Goei Batsao spoke as if it was serious, Yun Chujio felt that it was not telling the truth. Only then did she realize that although this scheming grass had long been in her dantian, up until now she still did not know what it was. Demonic plant? She had never heard of anyone who could separate a spiritual beast from a demonic plant. Spiritual beast? And no one had ever heard of a spiritual beast being able to grow in its dantian. Moreover, she felt that although this fellow was a bad student, he seemed to know quite a lot of things. What exactly was this thing? Yun Chujio thought of this and asked, "Go Weiba, tell me the truth. What exactly are you?" Goei Batsao swallowed the herb in its mouth and said confidently, "I'm not a thing." Yun Chujio, "You are indeed not a thing. You damn dogtail." Goei Batsao did not know what it had said wrong and continued to stuff the herbs in its mouth. Yun Chujio cursed a few times before saying, "What I mean is, you are a spirit plant, right? Then what kind of spirit plant are you? Why haven't I read about you in the ancient books?" When Goei Batsao heard this, it immediately straightened its back and said, "This baby is the world's most powerful grass, Goei Batsao. This damn scheming grass." It was as if she didn't say anything. "I think you should take a look at." She rolled her eyes. She didn't believe that she couldn't beat a grass. Hence, she curled her lips and said, "I know. It must be because your species is very low, so you're too embarrassed to say it." Goei Batsao was immediately unhappy. Who was calling low? You are the low one. You and D. Biming are a pair of bitches. Of course, this fellow still had a trace of rationality and did not say it out loud. It curled its lips and said, "You don't have to trick the baby. In short, you should treat me better in the future and not suffer any losses. Otherwise, HMP. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and sighed. "Sigh, Go Weiba, you're being a little heartless when you say that. Am I not treating you well? When I met the poison that you like, which time did I not help you drink it? When I met the medicinal herbs and pills that you like, which time did I not feed it to you? Even when you secretly saved up money, didn't I not punish you? Most importantly, you occupied my dantian. How do you expect me to treat you well?" Goei Batsao immediately felt a little guilty. After thinking about it carefully, other than scolding it for no reason, this stinky girl seemed to treat it quite well. All right. You barely treat me well. But don't worry. In the future all of this will pay off. You being chosen by me, Goei Batsao, is a great honor for you," Goei Batsao said smugly. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. Bah! Shameless. A great honor? It would be a great trouble. Yun Chujio knew that she couldn't get Goei Bakeo's identity. She changed the topic and asked, "Oh right, where did you take De Hua?" Goei Batsao said innocently, "How would I know where that idiot went? It is your spiritual beast, not mine." Yun Chujio frowned. Although Goei Batsao said it confidently, she somehow felt that De Hua's disappearance was related to it. Goei Batsao secretly heaved a sigh of relief when it saw that Yun Chujio was silent. It continued to eat the herbs. Speaking of which, it had been a long time since it had eaten so freely. It felt so good. Goei Batsao thought about it. Although it did not need to eat, its body still needed to eat. Otherwise, if it starved to death, it would have no place to live. Thus, it lazily said, "Come in." Hong Ling entered the house and couldn't help but be stunned. Because the originally full medicinal herbs were already less than half gone. What was going on? However, Hong Ling knew her identity, so she didn't ask what she shouldn't ask. Therefore, she didn't say anything and instead placed the food on the table. Yun Chujio said to Goei Batsao, "Tell Hong Ling to prepare a bath water and clean clothes. Ask her to help you bathe. When the time comes, go back to your dantian and wait for the bath before you possess your body." Goei Batsao agreed and pursed her lips in her heart. Bah! Even if you let the baby see it, the baby would not even bother to look at it. It was so ugly. It could not even be compared to Xiao Mogus mycelium. Hong Ling was stunned when she heard Goei Bakeo's instructions. This was because Yun Chujio usually did not need them to help her take a bath. However, since her master had instructed her, she could only do as she was told. Thus, after Gowei Batsao finished eating, Hong Ling began to help her take a bath. In order to avoid Hong Ling's suspicion, Yun Chujio let Gowei Batsao say, "He'll take a nap for a while. Help me wash up, then help me change my clothes. After that, just put me on the bed." After Hong Ling nodded and agreed, Gowei Batsao retracted back into her dantian and allowed Hong Ling to manipulate Yun Chujio's body. I think you should take a look at. Although Hong Ling was very puzzled, she still helped Yun Chujio to bathe, changed into clean clothes and then put her on the bed. During this time, she felt that her miss did not breathe at all and was so scared that her face was pale. However, she knew that her miss was a pervert and had many secrets. Therefore, although she was shocked, she did not dare to ask anything. Yun Chujio watched Hong Ling leave and nodded. This Hong Ling was not bad. If there was a chance, she could help her increase her strength. After a while, Gowei Batsao felt that it should be done washing. It could not wait to possess her body again and began to eat the herbs. Yun Chujio could not be bothered with it. Just as she was thinking about the matter, Hong Ling knocked on the door again and said carefully, "Miss, housekeeper Su from the ancestral residence is here. He said that the ancestor invited you over." Hong Ling knew that her miss was angry when she woke up, so she was so careful. Yun Chujio's heart tightened. What should come will come. She had to think of a way to fool the old fox. "Tell housekeeper Su that he'll be there soon." After Hong Ling left, Yun Chujio said to Gowei Batsao, "The old fox is very cunning. You have to do exactly as I told you. Otherwise, I won't be able to recover and neither will you." Although Gowei Batsao was mischievous, it also knew the severity of the situation. It immediately nodded and said, "Don't worry. Although I can't compare to you in acting, I can still put on an act." Yun Chujio immediately instructed Go Weiba, then she said, "Everything else is fine. The main thing is the way you walk. Remember, you're a human now, not a grass. Don't throw your arms out for no reason. Those aren't your grass leaves." Gowei Batsao agreed and pursed his lips in his heart. Humans were so pitiful. They only had 2 arms and 2 legs. The grass was still more powerful. They could have as many leaves as they wanted. Gowei Batsao waited for Yun Chujio to finish her instructions before pushing the door open and leaving the house. "Hong Ling, prepare the soft couch and send me to the ancestral residence," Gowei Batsao instructed. Hong Ling immediately sent someone to prepare the soft couch. The soft couch was carried outside the Lan family's ancestral residence. Gowei Batsao then rolled down the soft couch. Gowei Batsao realized that it had made a mistake. It revealed an embarrassed but polite smile and said, "Sai, my body is too weak. I accidentally fell down. Hong Ling, why didn't you help me just now?" Hong Ling, "Hey Shinjio." After saying that, Gowei Batsao imitated Yun Chujio's usual way of walking and walked into the courtyard. Although it felt very awkward, it had to bear with it in order not to expose itself. Hong Ling looked at her young Miss back view and had an illusion in her heart. Her young Miss legs were newly grown, right? Otherwise, why did she feel that her walking posture was so stiff? It did not seem as natural as before when she swung her arm and walked away. Yun Chujio simply could not bear to look at it. She could only follow and drift into the Lan family's ancestors' study. Pandas novel. Yun Chujio looked at her flattering manner and could not help but shiver. Was she usually this cheap? The Lan family ancestor shook his head speechlessly and pointed to the chair beside him. "Sit. I think you should take a look at." Gowei Batsao subconsciously shook his right arm. After hearing Yun Chujio's cough, he touched his bald ladle stiffly and laughed dryly before sitting on the chair. The Lan family's ancestor did not suspect anything. He thought that she was a little embarrassed because her hair had been chopped off. Gowei Batsao recalled Yun Chujio's previous instructions and quickly said, "Ancestor AI, I was struck a little severely this time. My spiritual power has been temporarily sealed and my body is very weak. I think I need to rest for a few days." The Lan family's ancestor's spy had already reported Yun Chujio's actions to him. After hearing Yun Chujio's words, he did not suspect anything, because he thought that the reason Gowei Batsao bought so many medicinal herbs was probably to refine medicinal pills to treat his injuries. He asked a few questions with concern and then said, "Although the Qing family's matter has come to an end temporarily, I have a premonition that a storm is coming. I'm afraid that the other 3 families, the Bitter Zen sect and the Divine Devil Hall, will attack again soon." Go Weiba followed Yun Chujio's instructions and said, "Ancestor, you don't have to worry too much. We still have the Zen sect behind us. Even if we really meet them, we are not afraid of them." The ancestor nodded and the two chatted for a while. Then the ancestor said, "Since you are not well, you should go back early. Nothing is more important than getting well." Go-Wei Batsao did not want to put on an act anymore. When she heard that, she jumped up from the chair, swung her arms and jumped out of the house. Yun Chujio was so angry that her nose almost went crooked. However, there was nothing she could do. Fortunately, most people would not think that there was a new core in her shell, so the old fox should not suspect anything. Yun Chujio originally wanted to stay here and see what the old ancestor would do, but she was sucked to Go-Wei Bakao's side by a huge suction force. It seemed that she couldn't be too far away from her body. Sigh, what was going on? It was too terrible. After Yun Chujio left, an old man wearing a mask came out from behind the screen of the study. "Master, why do I feel that the girl's behavior is a bit strange?" The masked old man said with some doubt. The Lan family's patriarch shook his head. "It's probably the sequela of being struck by lightning. After her injuries recover, she should be back to normal." The reason why the Lan family's ancestor did not have any doubts was that, firstly, he would never have thought that Yun Chujio's core had changed. Secondly, the tone and content of Yun Chujio's conversation with him were very normal. It was just that the way she walked and her behavior was a little strange. The masked elder nodded. "What you said makes sense. The heavenly lightning was as thick as a millstone. It's already a miracle that she was able to survive. It's also normal for her to be injured." The Lan family's ancestor smiled. That troublemaker has always been different from ordinary people. If it wasn't for her intelligence, the Qing family's matter this time wouldn't have gone so smoothly. I still feel that it's unbelievable. I thought that we would have to go through a lot of trouble, but who would have thought that it would be resolved so easily? The elder smiled. "Congratulations, master. With the support of the Qing family of the Fog Valley, our Lan family's strength will increase by a lot. However, master, if Yun Chujio's injuries cannot be recovered, what should we do about that matter?" The Lan family's ancestor knocked on the table with his finger. After a moment of silence, he said, "It's still early. That troublemaker knows how to refine pills herself. There shouldn't be any big problems. If it really doesn't work, we can think of another way. I now feel that she is more suitable than Luo Qin. Although Luo Qin is also very intelligent and her cultivation level is higher than that troublemaker, she lacks flexibility and may not be able to succeed. What you said makes sense. However, will you tell her the truth? After all, that little girl's mind is very clear. You may not be able to deceive her." The masked elder probed. The Lan family's ancestor let out a long breath. "I'll think about it again. In any case, we still have time. I think you should take a look at on the other side." Go-Wei Batsao sat on the soft couch and returned to the third room of the Lan family. Just as he entered the courtyard, he saw Lan Luofang ask with concern, "Little Jiu, are you all right?" "I just finished my class. Otherwise, I would have come to see you long ago." Go-Wei Batsao followed Yun Chujio's instructions and said while covering his forehead, "Sister Luofang, my head hurts a little. I want to go in and lie down for a while. I'll look for you another day." Lan Luofang did not suspect him and quickly said, "Then quickly go in and lie down for a while. I'll get the kitchen to make some nourishing soup for you." Go-Wei Batsao nodded and imitated Yun Chujio's walking posture into the house. Lan Luofang looked at Yun Chujio's difficult steps and was even more convinced that she was injured. She could not help but worry for her and left with a worried expression. For the next 2 days, Go-Wei Batsao lived a very happy life. After eating all the herbs, this guy shamelessly went straight to Lan Luofang and asked her to help him buy more herbs. He said that he wanted to refine pills. Lan Luofang did not doubt him and immediately went to the pharmacy to buy a lot of herbs. Hei Xinjiu was so angry that she was about to puke. But she could not do anything about Go-Wei Batsao. Go-Wei Batsao was very proud of itself. It wished that it could live like this forever. It was simply too beautiful. That night, it was already midnight and Go-Wei Batsao hadn't slept yet. This fellow was nibbling on the herbs while reading. The script was simply wonderful. Panda's novel come at this moment, there was a knock on the door. Little Jiu opened the door. Go-Wei Batsao heard the cold voice and rolled down from the bed in fright. It was over. That jinx was here. Go-Wei Batsao was trembling like a fallen leaf in the wind. Why did this fiend suddenly come here? What should he do? If that fiend knew that it had been whipping the stinky girl in anger for the past few days, would he directly turn her into a specimen? Otherwise he might as well go back to his dantian. After all, he had no way to communicate with the stinky girl's primordial spirit and would not know about his own matters. However, it thought about it again. If that was the case, Biming would definitely be worried about Yun Chujia's body and would stay behind. If that was the case, how would it come out to eat the herbs? How would it come out to read the script? Batsao rolled its eyes. Its body was now the wretched girl's and it was also familiar with the matters between them. It might as well fool him and make him leave quickly so that it could continue to act arrogantly. However, what if it was discovered by that jinx? This fellow gritted its teeth and comforted itself. As long as it was a little more careful, that jinx would definitely not discover it. After all, it would not have thought that its body would be taken over by Go Wei Ba tail. Thinking of this, Go Wei Batsao swaggered to the door and opened it. Hei Xinjiu, who was floating, saw through Go Wei Bakao's intentions at a glance. She sneered in her heart. This idiot was looking down on the pretty boy too much. Since it was seeking its own death, she would definitely not stop it. After the door opened, Go Wei Batsao saw Biming standing at the door. Under the moonlight, Biming's entire body was covered in a silver halo. His eyes were filled with worry. In the past few days, the sound transmission talisman that he sent to Yun Chujio had not been successful. In addition, he felt inexplicably uneasy, so he hurried over. Go Wei Batsao did not dare to look into Biming's eyes. Mimicking Yun Chujio's usual manner, he said, "Prince Charming, why are you here?" "I think you should take a look at Biming." Looked at the house full of herbs and felt a little puzzled. Why did little Jio take out all these herbs? Why didn't she put them into her storage ring? He suppressed the doubts in his heart and asked, "I have been unable to successfully send you the sound transmission talisman these days. What happened?" Go Wei Batsao had already run back to the bed and hid under the blanket, only revealing his head. This was because he knew that when he was agitated, he would wave his arms and hide under the blanket so that he would not be exposed. Biming frowned slightly, but he did not think too much about it. He thought that Yun Chujio could not wait to hide under the blanket because it was late at night and it was a little cold. Panda's novel I was struck a few days ago and my spiritual power was blocked, so I was unable to receive your voice transmission talisman, Go Wei Batsao said. Biming immediately lifted the blanket when he heard that. He wanted to check Yun Chujia's pulse to see how badly injured she was. Go Wei Batsao thought that it had been exposed and was so scared that it trembled. When Biming saw it like this, he was even more confused, but he did not show it. Biming placed his hand on Go Wei Bakao's wrist. Although not everyone who cultivated knew how to refine pills, they still knew how to do basic diagnostic tests. When Biming saw that there was nothing wrong with Go Wei Bakao's meridians, he was slightly relieved. If it was just spiritual power being sealed, it would return to normal in a few days. No wonder little Nine had piled up all the herbs in the house. So that was the reason. Go Wei Batsao had the principle of saying more and saying less, but seeing that Biming did not speak, it did not dare to speak either. Hei Xinjiu, who was floating in the air, could not help but feel a little stifled. This idiot gigolo, would he really let Go Wei Batsao fool him? At this time, Biming quietly sized up Go Wei Batsao. He was even more confused. Little Nine was usually lively and active, but why was it so quiet today? Go Wei Batsao saw Biming's gaze fall on it from time to time, and it shivered again. It didn't dare to look at Biming, afraid that it would be exposed. Biming suppressed the doubt in his heart and said, "Little Jio, tell me about what happened recently." Go Wei Batsao said a few words perfunctorily and then said, "It's already so late. It's better to rest first. If there's anything we can talk about it tomorrow." Biming's eyes deepened and said, "Little Jio, look at me. I have something important to tell you." Go Wei Batsao hummed and said, "My head hurts." "Tell me. I'm listening." Biming tightened his grip and pulled Go Wei Batsao out of the blanket. Then he made Go Wei Batsao look at him. Go Wei Batsao did not expect Biming to be so rude. He subconsciously waved his arm, wanting to send Biming flying. However, it was not grass now and it did not have any spiritual power. It did not hurt at all when it hit Biming's body. When Biming saw its actions, his eyes suddenly turned cold. "You are Go Wei Ba. Where is little Jio?" Go Wei Batsao did not expect to be exposed in less than 10 minutes. It wanted to cry but had no tears. It wanted to deny it, but when it saw Biming's cold eyes, it did not dare. This fellow broke free from Biming's hand and knelt on the ground with a plop. "As a male god, no, great god, it was the little fairy who let me possess her." She was struck by lightning and her primordial spirit left her body. She was afraid that the Lan family's ancestor would abandon her after finding out, so she let me possess her. I was just following orders. She is floating here now. If you don't believe me, you can ask her yourself. I think you should take a look at this point. Goei Batsao felt a little more confident. That's right. This fiend had no way to communicate with that stinky girl at all. Whatever it said, it would do. What was there to be afraid of? He Xinjiu, who was floating, was gratified that Di Biming had seen through Goei Batsao. On the other hand, she felt a little frustrated when she saw herself kneeling in front of Di Biming. Although Di Biming had some guesses in his heart, he was still shocked. Little Jio's primordial spirit had left her body? He stared at Goei Batsao and asked, "Is what you said true? Didn't you hurt little Jio?" Goei Batsao saw his cold eyes and shivered. She quickly said, "It's true. It's all true. I have turned from the dark to the light and turned over a new leaf. The little fairy and I are one. If anything happens to her, I won't be able to recover. Why would I harm her?" What? Panda's novel Kangwei Batsao had the urge to return to its dantian and play dead. But for some reason, although it knew that Di Biming couldn't do anything to it, it was just afraid. Woo-woo, it was a world-shaking powerhouse. Why would it be afraid of this fiend? What the hell? After a moment, Di Biming finally spoke slowly. "Since you said that little Jio was possessed by you, then ask her what her name will be when she gives birth to a son in the future." Although Goei Batsao was telepathically connected to Yun Chujio and Di Biming would cut off their spiritual sense most of the time. Only when she scolded it would she open the spiritual sense connection. Therefore, Goei Batsao naturally did not know the answer to this question. It raised its head to look at Yun Chujio, only to see that Yun Chujio had no intention of telling it at all. Moreover, the corner of her mouth revealed a sinister smile. Its head buzzed. This stinky girl was obviously going to trick it. Goei Batsao regretted it. If it had known earlier, it would not have acted like a demon. What should it do now? If that wretched girl did not tell it the answer, Di Biming, this fiend, would definitely think that it was lying and would not let it off. As expected, Guai Chao felt colder and colder. The cold air on Di Biming's body almost froze it into ice. Di Biming's cold voice rang out, "Are you lying to me?" Goei Batsao looked at He Xinjiu, who was floating in the air, and asked for help. He Xinjiu looked at it with a smile but did not say anything. Goei Batsao was so angry that it was twitching. No wonder the stupid girl did not say a word when she saw it acting like a demon. It turned out that she was holding back a big move. It was too sinister. Goei Batsao had no choice but to tell the truth while trembling. "God, I was wrong. I made the little fairy angry, so she deliberately pranked me and did not tell me the answer. I swear, I won't dare to do it again in the future." "Oh? How did you provoke little Jio?" Di Biming asked in a deep voice. He had already guessed a little. This house full of medicinal herbs was probably obtained by Goei Batsao on his own initiative. Goei Batsao cried, "I didn't do anything. I just bought some medicinal herbs to eat. People's food is their priority. I can't possibly be hungry, right?" Di Biming sneered. "He probably bought a lot of these herbs. Otherwise little Jio wouldn't be so angry." Moreover, Goei Batsao was getting bolder and bolder. Previously it had kept a small treasury. Now that it had a chance to possess it, it would definitely be very proud. "I think you should take a look at." Goei Batsao saw that a certain one was silent, so it could only look at He Xinjiu with a whimper. "Little fairy, I was wrong. Please spare me this time. I will definitely change in the future and never let anyone buy herbs for me again." Yun Chujio could not be bothered with it. The most important thing was to look at her crying face. It was too awkward. "All right, we will settle the score in the future. Ask him if there is a way for my primordial spirit to enter my body again." Goei Batsao quickly repeated Yun Chujio's words. Di Biming pondered for a moment and said, "If it was in the past, I really wouldn't have any way. However, after I broke the seal this time and recovered some of my memories, I do have a way." Yun Chujio was immediately delighted. What solution? Of course, these words had to be relayed through Go Weiba. In order to gain a good impression of him, Go Weiba said obsequiously, "The great deity is indeed powerful. He is simply incomparably wise. What is the solution?" Yun Chujio, this scheming grass. Yun Chujio noticed that Di Biming frowned slightly. She knew that things were going to be difficult, so she asked, "Idol, is there something wrong?" Go Weiba said flatteringly, "Guru, little fairy asked if there is anything wrong with you? That place called the Sea of Clouds was originally an ownerless place. But now it is occupied by the Bitter Zen sect. So, you have to find a way to get the bitter Zen sect to agree to let you soak in the soul-fixing spring, or destroy the bitter Zen sect, D. Biming said in a deep voice. Yun Chujio had a headache when she heard that. The Zen sect and the Divine Devil Hall were on the same side. They would definitely not agree to let her soak in the soul-fixing spring. Destroy the Zen sect? It was not something that could be done in a day or two. If time dragged on, what would happen if her primordial spirit scattered? Although D. Biming's cultivation base was high, it was not a problem for him to enter the Zen sect by himself. However, he could not let her soak in the soul-fixing spring without anyone noticing. D. Biming also frowned deeply. If he did not have the Divine Devil Hall, he and the Zen sect could destroy the bitter Zen sect together. However, the bad thing was that the Divine Devil Hall was behind the bitter Zen sect. If they tried to force it, even if they could win in the end, it would take a long time. Is it effective to get some water from the soul-fixing spring? Yun Chujio asked through Gowei Batsao. D. Biming shook his head. No, once the water from the spring leaves the pool, it will lose its effect. You have to soak in the spring. D. Biming and Yun Chujio could not think of any good ideas. Yun Chujio said, Prince Charming, it's getting late. Go to bed first. It's not too late anyway. D. Biming was fine, but he was afraid that something would happen to Yun Chujio's body, so he nodded immediately. However, he thought of a crucial problem at this time. Gowei Batsao felt a chill and shivered. What was wrong with this fiend? D. Biming stared at Gowei Batsao. I ask you, how did you do things like bathing and changing clothes? Gowei Batsao immediately felt that things were not looking good. This fiend had overturned the pot of vinegar. It quickly said in fear and trepidation, God, don't worry. Hongling helped me do all these things. At that time I will hide back in my dantian. The little fairy will cut off my spiritual sense. I won't be able to see anything. D. Biming's coldness faded a little, but his expression was still a little ugly. He said coldly to Gowei Batsao, unless it's necessary, you will stay in your dantian. Don't come out and be an eyesore. Gowei Batsao was so angry. I think you should take a look at what was an eyesore. It was clearly that smelly girl who let it out, alright? If it wasn't for Gowei Bakeo's emergency, that smelly girl would still be running around in the pit. Of course, this fellow would never say this matter even if he was beaten to death because he was afraid of death. Yes. It agreed with a grievance and then hid back in its dantian. D. Biming knew that Yun Chujio was definitely not far from him, and he said gently, Little Jio, don't worry, there will definitely be a way. As Yun Chujio had not cut off the spiritual sense connection, Guai Chao also heard a certain respected figure's words, and he cursed in his heart, Pui. The change in expression was really fast. When facing it, it was like a cold wind sweeping away fallen leaves, and when facing the smelly girl, it was like a spring breeze warming up. It was really like watching a person leave a dish. Without it to pass on the message, how would they communicate? In the end, they would still have to beg Gowei Ba to go out and help. Unfortunately, Gowei Batsao was mistaken. D. Biming comforted Yun Chujio a few times, but did not have any intention of summoning her out. Pandas novel Although D. Biming could not see Yun Chujio, he somehow knew that Yun Chujio was floating above his palm. He lowered his head to kiss her and said slowly, Don't be afraid, I will accompany you. Hearing his words, Yun Chujio broke into tears. Of course she was afraid. Anyone would be afraid when their primordial spirit left their body, and she was no exception. But who could she tell? If she told Gowei Batsao, that idiot would definitely laugh at her. Gowei Batsao in her dantian looked at Hei Shinjio, who was grinning and shook its leaves. It was so ugly. Although D. Biming could not see Yun Chujio crying, he could guess it. His heart ached and he had to think of a way as soon as possible. That night, D. Biming, Yun Chujio and Gowei Batsao did not sleep at all. D. Biming had been thinking about how to let Yun Chujio go to the Soul Consolidation Spring for treatment, so he did not sleep. Yun Chujio could not sleep because she was in her primordial spirit state. As for Gowei Batsao, it usually did not sleep much. Moreover, it was worried that D. Biming would take care of it, so it could not sleep. The next morning, although D. Biming was unwilling, he still asked Yun Chujio to summon Gowei Batsao to possess it. After all, without it to pass the message, he could not communicate with Yun Chujio. As for Lu Luo and Kaiyun, they would just faint first. The reason was very simple. Although the two of them were loyal to her, they were not as smart as Hong Ling. It was better not to let them know. Although Hong Ling saw D.I. Biming after she woke up, she did not ask anything. She just obediently stood guard in the courtyard. Di Biming took out breakfast from his storage ring and let Gowei Batsao eat it. Of course he didn't want Gowei Batsao to eat it, but he wanted Yun Chujia's body to eat it. Gowei Batsao was about to grab the food with his hands, but when he saw Di Biming's cold gaze, he could only force himself to pick up a pair of chopsticks. This fellow had always used his hands to grab the food, how would he know how to use chopsticks? I think you should take a look at therefore this meal was extremely miserable. It took him almost 2 hours to finish it and he even dirted his clothes. A certain being glanced at the drooping Gowei Batsao and said, "Go back to your danton." Little Jiu cut off its spiritual connection. Gowei Batsao immediately understood that it wanted Hong Ling to change Yun Chujia's clothes, so it obediently went back to its dantian. Yun Chujio thought the same, so she quickly cut off Gowei Bacao's spiritual connection. However, she never expected that Di Biming did call Hong Ling over, but he only asked for a clean set of clothes from her and sent Hong Ling away. Then, she was stunned to see a certain someone start to remove her clothes with a red face. He Xinjiu was both embarrassed and angry. This pervert. He actually took advantage of her when she was in danger. How outrageous. In a moment of desperation this guy raised his hand and slapped Di Biming. Pah! A crisp sound was heard. Both Di Biming and He Xinjiu were stunned. Yun Chujio was dumbfounded when she saw the slap mark on Di Biming's face. Did she really hit him just now? Wasn't she at the immortal soul stage now? How did she do it? Ignoring the pain on his face, a certain deity said in surprise, Little Gio, did you hit me? Hit me again. Hey Xinjiu, was this pretty boy a masochist? Of course the certain someone was not a masochist, but he felt that he was hallucinating. Little Gio was now in her primordial spirit state, so how did she slap him? Yun Chujio did not know how she did it, but she did it out of desperation. Chapter 5306. I despise myself. She suddenly remembered that when she was trapped under the ghost city in the desert of death, her primordial spirit had left her body. Later, she tried to use her spiritual sense to attack, and that was how she got out of the predicament. Could it be that she had unintentionally used her spiritual sense to attack? If she could skillfully use her spiritual sense to attack, could it be that not only could she attack but she could also write? The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more excited she became. She immediately summoned the Gowei Batsao and said to it, "Prepare a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone for me. I want to try using my primordial spirit to write." Gowei Batsao did not know what had just happened, but when it saw the palm print on Di Biming's face, it could not help but laugh out loud. This fellow also finished laughing. It also knew that it was going to suffer. As expected, Di Biming's cold gaze immediately landed on its body. It could even feel that the gaze pierced through Yun Chujia's body, directly landing on its main body. This fellow came up with an idea in a hurry. It stammered as it explained, "Great God, don't misunderstand, I am not laughing at you, I am happy for the little fairy." If she had mastered the divine sense attack, she would have an additional life-saving method. Think about it, if she meets an especially powerful enemy, the little fairy can let me possess her body and then she can use her primordial spirit to launch a sneak attack. This is simply a sharp weapon to kill people and steal their treasures. After listening to Go Weiba words, Di Biming did not have time to say anything before He Xinjiu became excited. That's right. Go Weiba words made sense. If she could really master the spiritual sense attack, she would be able to openly attack in the future. No one would be able to discover her, ha ha ha. This fellow suddenly thought of a question. Previously she had killed some demons or monsters, and the primordial spirit of those things could be seen by others. Why was it that other than Gowei Batsao, her primordial spirit, no one else could see it? Yun Chujio mentioned her question, but Di Biming did not answer her immediately because he had discovered this question a long time ago. Whether it was a human or a devil, the primordial spirit was a miniature version of itself. Once the primordial spirit left the body, everyone could see it. In fact, he had seen Yun Chujia's primordial spirit before. It was in the passage to the ghost realm. Little Gio, maybe it's because you are the ghost ancestor. Di Biming guessed. Gowei Bacao's eyes flashed. It knew the reason but it did not tell them. Ichimpich, did it think that Go Weiba was easy to bully? It knew many things but it did not tell them. Yun Chujio quickly threw this question to the back of her mind. She asked Di Biming to take out a brush, ink, paper, and inkstone. This guy began to practice writing with his primordial spirit. Things were simple but it was not so easy to operate. 4 hours had passed. Not to mention writing, she could not even touch the Shen paper. He Xinjiu could not help but feel a little depressed. Moreover, she felt very tired after all this, so she could only give up temporarily. Goei Batsao cursed in her heart, bah. Previously she had laughed at it for being a bad student. Now she was no better than it, even dumber than it. Just like Goei Batsao, it could easily turn into a spiritual power clone. What an amazing ability. How could it be like this wretched girl who couldn't even learn spiritual sense attacks? She was even dumber than a pig. Goei Batsao thought so in his heart, and a look of disdain appeared on his face. After seeing it, Di Biming immediately said coldly, "Goei Batsao, what are you thinking about?" Goei Batsao immediately trembled, "No, nothing. I despise myself. I made the little fairy angry. Am too unworthy. Am simply not worthy to be a grass." Although Di Biming didn't know what Goei Batsao was thinking, he could guess it. This Goei Batsao was different from Little Nine's other spiritual pets. To a certain extent, Little Nine was completely controlled by it. Even though his memory had been unsealed a lot, there was still no record of it. What the hell was this thing? Goei Batsao saw Di Biming's cold gaze and shivered again. This fellow was scolding himself, "You useless fool. What was there to be afraid of? He couldn't cripple the smelly girl's dantian. What was there to be afraid of?" This fellow encouraged himself and finally calmed down a little. However, he still didn't dare to say anything and sneakily stood in the corner, pretending to be a mushroom. Di Biming could not be bothered with it. He would let it prance around for a few days first. When he found out its weakness, it would not be too late to deal with it. At this moment Hong Ling knocked on the door. "Miss, housekeeper Su from the ancestral residence is here. He said that the old ancestor wants you to go over for a while." Goei Batsao followed Yun Chujia's instructions and quickly said, "Got it. He said that I will go over right away." Yun Chujia was puzzled. The old fox clearly knew that her spiritual power was sealed, so why did he ask her to go over? She asked Goei Batsao to tell Di Biming to wait here. She and Goei Batsao went to the ancestral house to see what the old ancestor of the Lan family was selling. Goei Batsao still sat on the soft couch and went to the ancestral house. The first time was new and the second time was familiar. Goei Bakao's performance this time was much better than the last time. Panda's novel Kamian Chujia's heart moved. Master Liaowu would not look for her for no reason. It was most likely related to the matter of her pretending to be a Buddha. Otherwise she would have told the old fox. It was good to go there. She could take the opportunity to inquire about the bitter Zen sect. "I think you should take a look at therefore," she said. "Since Master Liaowu has invited me, I will go and take a look. You can send a message to ask them to send someone to pick me up." Master Lan nodded and immediately sent a message to Master Liaowu. Soon the other side gave a definite answer and immediately sent someone to pick Yun Chujio up. The old ancestor of the Lan family had some doubts in his heart. The Zen sect was too eager to deal with this troublemaker. Was it because of the Buddha's candle? Or was there some secret between them that he did not know? However, no matter what, it was a good thing for the Lan family that the troublemaker had a good relationship with the Zen sect. As for the other things, he would find out sooner or later. Yun Chujio found a reason to leave so that the fake Goei Batsao would not be exposed. After Goei Batsao saw Di Biming, he told him the story in a flattering manner. Di Biming frowned slightly. "Little Jio, are you really going to the Zen sect? You don't have any spiritual power now and your primordial spirit has left your body. It's too dangerous." "It's okay. Those monks from the Zen sect won't harm me. If I go, I can also get some information about the bitter Zen sect." Yun Chujio told Goei Batsao to tell him. Di Biming still felt that something was wrong, so he said, "All right, since you insist on going, I'll go with you." Yun Chujio did not refuse. She really needed someone to protect her in her current state. Now that the situation was becoming clear, she was not afraid that Di Biming would bring any trouble. Moreover, the Zen sect was not on good terms with the Divine Devil Hall. 4 days later, Yun Chujio followed the Zen sect to the Zen sect. Di Biming did not go with Yun Chujio. Instead, he was secretly protecting her. The people who came to pick up Yun Chujio from the Zen sect this time were still Master Li, Ji Kong, and Ji Su. Along the way, Master Lei's eyes were fixed on Yun Chujio vaguely, with a vague intention of probing. Goei Batsao was a little scared by his gaze. He found an excuse to stay in the cabin and did not go out. He said to Hei Xinjiu. The old monk looked at the baby strangely. Did he notice something? Yun Chujio thought for a moment and said, "It's possible, but it might not be a bad thing. Maybe he has a solution." Let's wait until we get to the Zen sect. On this day, the flying spiritual device finally arrived at the Zen sect. Once they arrived at the Zen sect, Yun Chujio was surrounded by many monks. Di Baiming, who was hiding in the dark, was about to make a move when he heard Go Wei Batsao say, "Master Lei, what do you mean by this? Amit Ba Buddhist candle, did you possess almsgiver Yun's body? Hurry up and return almsgiver Yun's freedom." Master Lei shouted sternly. Yun Chujio, this was a wonderful misunderstanding. However, this gave her a good excuse. Thus, she commanded Go Wei Batsao and said to Master Lei, "Master Lei, let's talk in private." Master Lei frowned, but he still led Go Wei Batsao to his meditation room. Go Wei Batsao followed Yun Chujio's instructions and said, "Master Lei, you are right. I am Buddha's candle. I have occupied the little fairy's body." Go Wei Batsao was secretly delighted. Ah, that's great. With Buddha's candle as a scapegoat, it would be scapegoated even if it did some bad things in the future. "I think you should take a look at." Master Lei shouted angrily. "What did you do to benefactor Yun? Why aren't you returning her body to her?" "Master, please calm down. I have taken over her body passively. After she was struck by the heavenly lightning, her primordial spirit left her body. If I don't possess her body will be destroyed. Look, she is floating here now." Go Wei Batsao pointed at a place beside Master Lei. Master Lei did not believe Go Wei Bakeo's story at all. No matter how Go Wei Batsao explained, he was sure that it had possessed Yun Chujio with ill intentions. Pandas noveled come in the end, it was Yun Chujio who told a few things that the Buddha's candle did not know. It was only after Master Lei believed Go Wei Bakeo's story. Only then did the two begin to talk through Go Wei Batsao. "Master Lei, I heard that the bitter Zen sect has a soul-fixing spring that can treat the condition of the primordial spirit leaving the body. Is that true?" "It is true. However, the soul-fixing spring is a precious treasure of the bitter Zen sect. If you want to go there for treatment, I'm afraid it will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens." Master Lei sighed. Yun Chujio heaved a sigh of relief when she received the affirmative answer. As for whether it was difficult or not, it was up to the man to do it. She would definitely think of a way. "By the way, why did you and Master Liaowu ask me to come to the Zen sect?" Master Lei revealed a worried expression. The bitter Zen sect did not succeed in the last 10,000 Buddhist Dharma assembly. A few days ago they sent someone to send a post saying that there was a magnificent scene of the Sea of Clouds Buddhist light in the bitter Zen sect. They invited us over to enjoy it. It really put us in a dilemma. Yun Chujio said with puzzlement, "What's so difficult about that? If you want to go, then go. If you don't want to go, then don't go." Master Lei explained, "The Buddhist light of the Sea of Clouds is a grand scene that Buddhists dream of. If we refuse, the bitter Zen sect will definitely add oil to the fire and spread it out, saying that we are not sincere in cultivating Buddhism." You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.